But I know, dude. Do you follow like any of the Facebook groups at all?
Oh yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
It is popping off at those groups. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I don't know any of the people really that it's like. I know I have like I guess like acquaintances with comics and stuff like that, but I don't really go deep into like. I got a family too, so I don't like hang out a lot. Like even at shows, it's like I treat it like a job, do my thing. I have my material, and then I try to get out of there. But dude, the Facebook groups are insane.
They're
right
fun.
now.
They're so fun.
Dude, I don't know. I don't even want to say it. I don't want to get into.
You don't want to drop the names.
Dude, I don't want to be named.
I just want to say, every time I open it and there's a guy, usually it's a guy, who's like shit posting and hating on everything. I've never seen a guy that I know do that, and usually they're unknowns.
Yeah.
And maybe unknowns to me because I'm like a newer, like I've been in Boston for not that long.
Yeah.
So there will be one of those people who did comedy like 8 years ago and stopped 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're just shitting from the luxury of their couch at home. Yeah. And again, we're not going to drop names, but the guy we're thinking about right now has a name, but it's not the real name.
Not his real name.
It's an alias. But it's such a weird thing because it's an alias. But if you open their Facebook page, they link their Instagram with their actual name in the info. So you see name and then which is fake and then real name right under. So that's the most elaborate fake name scheme I've ever seen in my life.
I didn't like it, but I mean it's so nice when I'm like on my lunch break at work or like I get home and I'm like, me too. It's like good to have something to look at that I like. Whenever I see something that has like 67 comments on it, I'm like, let's go. I'm so pumped. Like, let me read this. Let me see what's going on. But I didn't like today. I think it was either today's or maybe yesterday's where that particular person was name dropping other people with like pretty serious allegation stuff.
Yeah.
That was pretty messed up. I didn't like that. But I do like that I have something to like look at.
Yeah, it's so entertaining as long as you're outside of it. And my only my issue is like that person is also hating on people.
Yeah.
There are very well known comics and very well known bookers and very nice people in real life. And also hard thing to say on a podcast, but it's always hating on women. Always beefing with women. Yeah. And I'm like, what's going on with you personally that you have to do that? Like I've never done beef with a guy. You know what I mean?
And the responses to dudes are also very short.
Yeah.
If there is one.
Yeah.
But when it's one of the girls, whether it was like that, one of the bookers, again, I don't know. Bookers are like the other people. He's like hardcore, like writing out this full like manuscript. He might be the Unabomber of the Boston comics Facebook group. The dude's crazy.
What I love is like there's this comic called Spencer. You know Spencer, like a really funny guy.
Spencer.
Yeah, he's like
Boston comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's commenting on every shit post, and he'd be like, "Who?
Yeah, who I saw. Who?
Because that's on all of our minds when that person posts and be like, first of all, who are you? Second of all, who are you talking about? Because I have no idea who anyone is, and I don't care really enough. But it's just funny to watch. It's really funny, and the whole weird thing is like, oh, I have a show that I'm booking. And then he hates on people. And then the studio comes and be like, oh, that person is no longer booking the show. And then he goes again in the same group and hates on the studio. And I'm like, what is happening?
And I will say this. His poster is the busiest looking poster for a show I've ever seen in my life. It's got like pretty well-known comics on it. Like pretty like big Boston area comics. Yeah. And you can't even read their name. It's like it's like their name on top of their name on top of another name. But then his is like clear as day at the bottom. Like the dude's a narcissist.
Something is off, man. Something is off. And I mean, like,
steer clear of that dude.
Yeah, like B. William Brooks is like a booker and a comic. When that guy posted the poster, he went in on the comment. He was like, "Is your graphic designer on meth?" And the guy commented, was like, "It is me." Yeah, which is hilarious.
You may be on meth, sir.
Dude, like, I was like, oh, maybe he like I don't know, is repurposing an older poster, and that's why he's like, you know, layering it on top of something.
Did you grow up on like a honey farm or something? Like,
what is happening?
Like, bees and fucking
yeah. This whole thing is a shit show. The entire thing is a shit show.
I know. I will. It's this is where it gets tricky because it's like the dude clearly seems to be a piece of shit. I would say if like you're looking at first glance. You got to pick sides. You got to think. When I say pick sides, I mean like, time is valuable. Would you waste any of your time hanging with this dude or not? I would say no. I would say he seems like a piece of shit. But has he given me like 4 days worth of entertainment? Yes, he has. So do I want him to go away? Kind of not.
But for example, if that guy reaches out to you, be like, Freddie, I want to put you on my show.
I probably wouldn't answer him because for a couple of reasons. I don't like the way that he not just put. I'm all for anybody putting out their business. I'm like. That's fine. I know a lot of wacky people in comedy, outside of comedy, and I'm like a firm believer that you should be able to say whatever you want to say, especially like about yourself or if you have an opinion about something. But today's post, yesterday, whatever it was, specifically about a person and some other type of accusation, and like the way he inserted himself into that to me would be like no go. Do not want to put any. I don't want to be a part of that. Like whether it's I don't know what's true, what's valid, what's not, but I want no part of that.
Exactly. Like I mean, I'm a newer comic, and the rule is usually take whatever you get. But I think I'm getting to the point of comedy where I'm like, maybe like some. Because what's the price that like, yeah, I'll do a show with a person like that. Not necessarily the guy. I don't even know the guy. But someone like that, but at what cost? That is making me look really bad, and for like that it looks like I'm siding with the guy who's hating all the women in the scene, which is not great.
Yeah,
and probably like why am I don't want to be taking sides on something as big as that. I don't even know anyone. I don't care. It's funny you say that. I just want to say 2 points on that. First, when you're like, I'm all for voicing my opinion. This is the most American thing I have ever heard in my life. Because where I come from, you don't voice your opinion.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get kidnapped immediately by the government. So, like, it's one of those things where, like, I come here and people are like, oh, my God, freedom of speech, say whatever you want in any capacity. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Anything?
That's my culture, and that's my heritage. That's like, wow. That's so ingrained in me. Like, if somebody even, like, thinks about, like, muzzling up anything I have to, and I don't have any like crazy view. I'm just like your typical, like just middle of the road about most things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like really like crazy one way or the other. I don't have a problem with really most of the time what anybody has to say, even if it's like more of a dissenting opinion, but like, don't tell me ever that I can or can't say something.
Yeah.
However, the caveat to that is, don't put other people on blast because it doesn't have anything to do with you. Yeah. And I don't particularly, I wouldn't want to like associate myself with somebody like that. I just think it's bad news because who's to say they don't do that to me? And,
100%.
It's, but I don't think it's necessarily like that it should go against you if you went on this person's show either. Because not everybody reads the Facebook message group. Like, if he's a booker and he reaches out to somebody, I wouldn't assume that they know that this guy is really out there. But, the fact that I do, or in my opinion, he is, I'd rather just skip it. I'd rather skip that one.
Yeah, some of the comics he had on that poster are really good friends of mine. Yeah. And you're right. They have no idea. They're not on Facebook. They don't have time to be like, oh, what's going on? And yeah, a lot of respect to these people, but that guy is really bad news. I think there's a comic who said this on, I think it was his podcast, but it's very similar concept. I have in comedy in Boston, I have something I call the Chernobyl list of comics. Chernobyl list is something really bad happened, and that person is really toxic.
Yeah, just and radiating
it. Be as far as possible from that person. Be so far from the person. Be nice, be cordial, say hi, respectful, but just be so far from the person that when it explodes again, you're so far. Because it does. It does. Like, these people explode all the time. And the comedy scene, again, we don't need to talk about that, but there's been a lot of explosions lately.
I know.
Before this, there was a couple explosions.
Yeah.
And like never failed. The Chernobyl list never failed me up to this point.
Dude, it is. We are at like radiation level 100 right now in that chat room. And again, I am guilty for loving it.
It's like trash TV.
It is.
It is trash TV.
Jerry Springer.
Yes.
We're talking like Ricky Lake. Like, we got it. But it's gonna, in some way, shape, or form, it like comes to a head. It may not have any effect on me whatsoever when it does, but it sounds like the venue is already getting some flack.
Blast. Yeah.
On blast for it. And by all accounts, it sounds like the gentleman that's reviving the comedy studio or whatever is like, sounds like he has nothing to do with any of it. And it's just maybe caught up with some old shit.
Yeah.
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
I don't think people have a very good concept sometimes of how hard it is to get money and how hard it is to take that money and try to make it into something that works. And whoever is like trying to revamp this club, I'm sure had to dump a lot of money to it.
I think they're still currently dumping money. And I mean, if I was an investor and there's this amount of fires on a club that I'm putting so much money on, I'll be so pissed. I'll be so pissed. Like, first of all, you inherited a lot of trauma.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Before you even started, like the club is closed and there's already trauma, and like everybody is like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it," right? And now they're like, "Oh, okay, guys, we taking steps. We did this. We doing town halls. Town halls for a comedy club that doesn't exist is hilarious." First of all,
I know, that's the other thing. I'm like,
first of all, this is not a community center. Like, what are we doing, right? And there's a town hall, and then people be like, "Okay, I guess we can do this." And then you have a couple of these characters doing that.
Yeah,
I think another thing that put them on blast as well is like, I think I would give them that they reached out to now the booking system in that place. There's a lot of well-known comics in the scene that are booking it, and that's awesome. But I think they booked a lot, and then they failed an inspection, so they delayed the opening. But instead of the club going to the comics saying, "Hey guys, we take the fall," blah blah blah, they were like went to the bookers and be like, "Hey, you talk to your people." So that's why some of the bookers were like, "What are we doing here? Like, it's not my club." You know what I mean? But there's a lot of names involved in that club that I respect a lot. Like the people booking right now, all great people. Speaking of great people, I would say that when I started, which is not that long ago, one of the people who really gave me very solid advice was Jack Hall. You know Jack Hall?
Yeah, I don't know him in person. I know the name though, yeah.
Great guy. And I always ask for advice to Jack, and Jack has a lot of advice to give, I would say that. And he was like, first of all, don't look at the Facebook group. First advice in comedy in Boston, don't open your Facebook group. Yeah. Because it's insane. Second of all, like, don't...
Which probably made you be like, I'm going to open that Facebook group.
It's just so entertaining sometimes. But, like, I would never comment on anything. I would post if I'm hosting a mic, like Jungle or Granton every once in a while. I'd be like, hey, guys, I'm hosting. His advice was don't open the Facebook group and don't ask to be on shows and keep writing and get funnier. And I was like, oh, my God, I want to be on shows. I have X amount of minutes. I want an audience.
Yeah.
And you get into this loop of like, you're trying to be on shows, but now you're not writing, so you're not getting funnier. So when I started following it, and I was like, dude, I'm not going to reach out to anyone.
Yeah.
I'll just write better material. And now to me, it's a challenge of when is the next good joke rather than when is my next show.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if I say it to a lot of people or not. I want the joke that is so funny that I can do it in a bar late at night, everyone is drunk, nobody's paying attention. And I say it and it kills.
Yeah.
That is the joke.
Yeah.
And I'm now after that joke more than the show or the big show. And since I had that mentality, like life has been great.
Yeah.
Because You're just writing, trying. Oh, I have this messed up idea. Let me try it tonight in the middle of nothing. And if it works, awesome, keep it. If it doesn't, kill it. Get another one.
Yeah, right. It's like whatever's occupying your mind about like the stress and the obsession about trying to get a show, if you can kind of clear that out and make room for a little bit more of the creative space, like that's it, right? That's the goal. None of this works if you don't have a good show.
It's a weird situation of less is more.
Yeah.
So the more you're worried the less you're worried about getting on a show, the more you focus on material, the more people want you on their show. By the way, I have another thing. I respect the hustle, when people reach out and send availabilities, which is great. I do it maybe once a month.
Yeah.
I see a couple of shows that I love, and I'll be like, hey, I'm available in October or something, right? But there's weird, if I reach out to you, you have a show, and you don't know me.
Yeah.
When people send tapes, I highly doubt anybody watches these tapes, right? But let's just say they put you on. Now there's so much pressure. Because if you bomb at the first, it's your first impression.
Yeah.
So if you ask to be on that show and they don't know who you are, it's the first time they've ever seen you, and you bomb, it's over, it's done. But if they know who you are and they book you, and you do well or do bad, that's way less pressure to perform than the other scenario. And I'm like, I'll just do my thing, exist, be in peace, have friends, have a life. Which is apparently comedy attracts a very specific type of people to perform.
Crazy people.
We're all
crazy.
We're all messed up. There's no one. I refuse to believe someone can be normal and funny.
Yeah,
because you can't have everything in life. Okay,
no.
like
I would hate to find out that somebody that was really good at comedy was just completely normal.
Oh,
it would bug me. I'd be like, you son of a bitch.
I'd be so mad. I'll be so mad.
So, Maz, maybe you could, I know you talked about when you came here, could you maybe, tell some of the 3 viewers that I have a little bit about where you came from and your roots?
In life? Yeah. I was going to say where I live. No.
Your address, your phone?
Hey, Social Security. I am Egyptian. I was born and raised in Egypt for the first 21 years of my life. Went to undergrad in Egypt. Finished it, went to another undergrad in England, finished it, went to grad school in England. Really big study guy.
Yeah.
Finished it, and then I moved to the US, started working. No comedy. Comedy doesn't exist at that point. I moved a lot. I lived in Florida, and I lived in Austin, Texas. I lived in Indianapolis, Indiana. I lived everywhere. I moved almost every year.
Yeah.
And then I
moved for work, or you were just
for work
checking out the states?
Mostly for work. And then 1 year ago, almost exactly 1 year ago, I had to come here for work. And there's this weird thing when you move, you lose everything in a way. You lose all your social circles. You lose. Yeah. I mean, you're moving for the good reason, for a good opportunity, but you lose all.
Yeah.
And that was me. And when I moved here, I'm a big fan of comedy. So I remember when. Third day in town, I went to a Don't Tell show in downtown. And I finished. I was like, I have nothing to do. Let me see if there's another show. There was another show in a comedy club called Duck Duck Goofs. It was 10-minute walk. I walked, it's in the basement of the Cambridge Community Center. Just really cool place, really cool show. And I was like, oh my God, that's cool. I'll come again. Next week, I would go. And they were like, we're doing classes. If you want to learn how to do this. It's like, I'll do a class.
Hell yeah.
I go to the class, and 8 weeks later, I have 5 minutes, which was horrible. 5 minutes, I would say that, because they do a graduation show for friends and family, and it's a big show. A lot of people come. I mean, it was funny, but it was friends and family. If I use that 5 minute right now, I'll bomb so bad. And then something I really appreciate about this is they kind of take your hand into the open mic world. Mm-hmm. It's a very scary world to be in if you're alone.
Yeah.
To just show up into an open mic alone, that's a very scary thought.
Yeah.
Especially in Boston. So they kind of be like, hey, you want to come with us? We're going to go as a group to the Middle East, for a Wednesday night or whatever. And you go, you experience an open mic, and you're like, whoa, okay, I have to do this 6 times a week now.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way of getting better.
You got to just go. You got to get in time.
6-7 times a week. You have to do that. there's no easy way around it. There are gifted people in writing, but they still have to do that. Like it just, maybe they don't have to do it for 4 years. Maybe they have to do it for 2 years, but they still have to do 7 times a week.
Yeah.
There is no cheat around that.
And in different places too. Like you can't get stuck. I mean, like I hit up like a lot of the same mics and whatnot, but you have to go to different places also to see like how things work in other spots. Like even like some rooms have a stage, some rooms you're in the corner, some rooms are outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to know how to. You got to get I shouldn't say you got to know. You got to practice your stuff in those settings, you know, to get better at it.
And the best thing is, like, I think of it, if you go to an open mic for the first time, it's almost like a show because they don't know who you are. So they're actually paying attention.
Yeah.
But if you go there every single week and maybe, I mean, I don't know about you, but I personally don't have new 5 minutes every week.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a minute every week, right? So if I'm going to the same mic every week and I'm saying the same 5 minutes with injecting 1 minute in the middle, they're not paying as much attention. So I try to keep the mics on an off-cycle rotation. So every 2 weeks, like this week, I go to these places. Next week, totally different places.
Yeah.
By the time I go back to the original places, they kind of forgot who I am. Not forgot who I am, but like they don't remember my material that much.
Yeah, it's like new material.
So to them, it's like they're still interested. And there's so many open mics. There's, I mean, we are privileged in that regard. Like there's so many. They're not great, but there's so many.
Any day of the week, except, you know, not the weekends.
Not the weekend.
Yeah, or Friday.
Some people got really pissed if you put a...
Oh, yeah.
Some people got really pissed if you put an open mic in the weekend, you know?
God forbid.
I get it. Like, I understand where their concept and logic is, but I mean, dude, like, let the people be, and if they want to go, they want to go.
Yeah.
Nobody is stealing. No audience in their right mind are gonna be like, I'm gonna leave this really good show that is free or $10 to go to this like sketchy open mic in the back room of a bar that is nobody's approaching.
Yeah.
I
think it's more so like just don't do them so close to each other in location that they could compete for one another. But other than that, I don't see the big deal with a weekend mic.
Yeah.
The other part of it for me, and again, I said I'm a like down the middle kind of moderate guy. I like to look at both sides of the argument. For me, if it was sort of the like legends in Boston comedy that made it so you can't have a weekend mic or they set the precedent, well, maybe they do know a little something, and
probably,
you know, and we should respect that as well. So I get both sides of it, but I would, if there was an open mic on a Friday, I would go to it. I wouldn't have any like ill feelings towards somebody. And I Max and I book shows on weekends. I don't have any problem with somebody.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, like let the people be. I don't think the audience is like, oh, I would rather go to this open mic.
Yeah.
But if a person really has the urge, then let them do it. Like, who are you to be like, no? Now I sound like you.
Yeah.
Now I sound like all about freedom of speech.
Stop playing in the middle.
It's like, wow.
Pick a side.
The Egyptians are so disappointed at me right now.
What is comedy like in Egypt growing up? Did you have a lot of influences, or
we don't?
And you said it's a little. It's obviously stricter there.
Yeah, we don't really have comedy as you know it here.
Yeah.
Like we have a good comedy scene right now. Like a lot of people are coming up and like making it a comedy scene in Egypt. But the comedy itself is really different because you have a lot of things you cannot say.
Yeah.
So the big rules are you can't make a joke about religion, sex, or politics.
Yeah.
Which is...
I try not to do either.
Really? I feel like we just killed 80% of my material right now. These are really big...
You're lashing out, Maz.
These are really funny stuff, actually. These are like really funny 3 things in life that you just took away. So there's a lot of observation. But I would say what helps a lot is the language. The Arabic language is way bigger as a language.
Yeah.
So the vocabulary is much more comprehensive. So a word love in English maybe would have 12 or 13 words in Arabic based on the level.
Yeah.
So that really helps with comedy because you can make a specific reference. The reference can be so specific that it's funny.
Yeah.
Like I have a joke right now in English where some jokes are like, if I say as a concept, it's not funny. But when I say the ultra specific reference in it, it's really funny.
Yeah.
And in Arabic, it's so easy to do. And also, I'm from Egypt, and Egypt is not flexing, but Egypt is well known in the Arab world as the funniest country. Like, we are the funniest people in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Like, we're also known as the scammers of the Middle East for a reason, because we're such good talkers. We're such funny
I always
people.
say, when I think of Egypt, I think of a market somewhere, like an open air market with people not talking shit to one another, but like a lot of talking going back and forth, which I'm sure helps with comedy.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things where the life of the people in Egypt is so bad. The conditions are horrific, unlivable conditions, that the only way for them to live is to find funny.
Yeah.
So they have no choice but to find funny.
But to be funny.
To live. And that's why the funny in Egypt is really funny. Like if when I see stuff in Egypt, like stand-up comics doing crowd work or like a show in Egypt, it's so fun. If they can move that to English, they will be crushing the world.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's difficult because the English language is way more like less specific. So they have to. The culture also references. I'm lucky in the sense of like I learned English before I learned Arabic.
Yeah.
So I grew up in really good schools that like my English is okay. Yeah. I would say that. But it's not everybody is like that. Some really, really funny comics in Arabic, they don't speak English. So that is kind of luck. But then you have someone, big fan, Bassem Youssef. He's like an Egyptian comic in LA. He tours. He's a big comic. Yeah. He does shows in Arabic and English. So he would do 2 shows in Arabic, 2 shows in English. Oh, hell yeah. Which is insanely impressive. Yeah. Like, to be funny in 2 languages, that is... We can't even. I'm trying to be funny in English alone. Yeah, right? It's really difficult.
Yeah, because I mean, inflection's probably a lot different. It's more so than just the words. It's like how you say those words and transitions, and that's going to be really hard doing it in 2 different. I mean, I know some people around here. We're in Lawrence, which is a pretty high the highest Dominican population in the state, and I know some comics around here that do. Shows in Spanish and shows in English. It's like that's a whole nother talent altogether.
Never been in Lourdes, but the food must be great.
Yeah, the food's pretty good if you find the right spot. Some places are a little shady.
Oh, really? I mean, that's even better for food. Because what if my biggest complaint is about Boston? The food is horrible.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the people
Where are you eating? Tell me where you're eating.
I'm not a big food guy, but when I go out with my friends, usually around like downtown Boston, like all the, I don't know, new, like nice places, food is horrible. Yeah.
The place is probably nice. Costs you an arm and a leg to do it too.
Oh, dude, especially I'm single. I go on a lot of dates. Yeah. I'll be like, let's go to a place. And, you know what I mean? Which I'm
That's
okay.
The worst, dude. I'm knock on wood. I haven't been single for a long time, but that was maybe the most frustrating thing about being single is the amount of money you have to spend on a date on a regular basis.
I have no problem with if the food is good. So I'm spending money to know this person who usually is like, okay, I'll say most of them great person, but sometimes you get some wild stuff happen. Yeah. And the food is bad. So I'm like 0 out of 5 on this experience. Yeah. What is like, do you have any crazy date idea that happened to you? Like something happened on a date that was insane?
Not really insane. I had a very steadfast rule, no sushi on a first date for that very reason. Like, I will not sushi on a first date. You want to hear a funny thing?
Oh, yeah, please.
So I met this chick on, this is how long it's been since I've been on, a date.
MySpace.
No, it was called Plenty of Fish.
Oh, holy shit.
So worse. I actually went, this might have been Craigslist, actually.
Oh my God.
Might have been a Craigslist date. I went on Craigslist dates, Plenty of Fish. So I went on this Craigslist date, right? And I was actually hanging with some of my buddies. And she messaged me and she's like, all right, well, let's meet up. And it was a Sunday, so the Patriots game was on. I didn't want to do it, but she looked really hot in all the pictures. So I was like, all right, I'm going. So we go to this place in Malden called, it's changed ownership now. I think it was called like Bambino's or something like that. It's like a sports bar. Oh, it's Italian food, but like pub food. So we go there, and there's a DJ there, sort of just, ushering people through. Like, they weren't doing trivia, but they were doing something like trivia.
It's like barking for us.
Yeah, exactly. So we're there, and they announced that they're going to do a buffalo wing eating competition for a $40 gift card. So I was like, okay. And the date wasn't going stellar to begin with.
It wasn't.
She was
boring.
She just didn't really want to be there. I didn't feel like I felt like as soon as I got there, like maybe I just wasn't like what she was expecting or whatever.
Perfect.
So it wasn't going well. And she actually, once we got there, I had another conspiracy theory about it because she knew the DJ.
Oh.
When she got there, it was one of those things like, oh, you're here? Like they clearly hooked up or something went down with
it. It was a bringer.
Yeah, it was a bringer. And she was the one that suggested the place. So I go there. She knows the DJ. The DJ's being a fucking loser. Like just completely dismiss it. Like, he was like, oh, hey, but like, that's a first date, whatever. So in my head, I'm like, all right. If I enter this wing eating competition, I'm going to get some free wings. I could potentially win a gift card to pay for this meal, and I get off scot-free.
Oh, boy.
So I joined the wing eating competition. I smoked it. Crushed everybody.
Crushed?
It wasn't a traditional wing eating competition. It was not how many you can eat in an amount of time. It was... you got 10 wings, and the person to finish the 10 wings first won.
Oh, dude, you just swallow 10 wings.
Dude, I did like the old Disney movies when they like put it in and just I crushed it, and I remember Gronk spiking the final wing.
Whoa.
And I was like going like I had the crown on the top of my head. I was going crazy. I was like getting the crowd pumped up,
killing the show.
Yeah. And then I looked over, and she wasn't even watching me with this wing. She was sitting like towards the edge of the DJ table, elbows on the table, like talking to him, like super lovey-dovey. So I didn't even I didn't pay for her. I got my $40 winnings. I secretly sort of like said to the bartender, like, I'll take my half of the tab, pay for half the tab, and
you say bye?
No.
Let's go. Let's go.
And I was like, you know what? I'm already kind of hammered. I got this gift card. I'm going to come back on another Craigslist.
I ate 10 wings for free.
I did what I had to do.
Damn. She must be talking to her friends about this until today. She must be like, I went with this guy. He was really into wings. And I had no choice but to talk to my DJ friend.
Yeah. Dude, let the DJ pay for her beers. I'm not paying for that. Like, you don't ask somebody to go on a date and then ignore them and like go talk. If she didn't like me, she doesn't like me.
All what I'm going to say is, this was Craigslist. Like, what did we think is going to happen?
You make a very valid point. This was a Craigslist.
What did we think is going to happen right now?
Yeah. That's a good point. She's pretty hot, though.
That's the thing. So, I am like sort of a professional first dater. I go on a lot of first dates.
Yeah.
Not a lot of second, but a lot of first. I'm really good at I figured out the formula to get to the first one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a couple of like really weird, wonky stuff that happened. And this is like top of my list of weird stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened to me on dates. Because I go on a lot. So the sample number is big. This is a very simple story. It's not even on my comedy bit because it's more like trauma rather than funny.
Yeah.
I was in England in grad school, and I lived in a really small town in Essex called Colchester, England. And we had like maybe 4 restaurants in the town. It was really small.
Yeah.
So you go to an Italian restaurant, I meet this girl, Tinder. So at least, we're doing something. Yeah, right? There's a chance here. And then we go to an Italian restaurant. She is who I thought she was. So she looks very pretty, very nice girl, having a good conversation. We ordered spaghetti. Red sauce.
Of course.
Red sauce, right? Important fact. She eats the spaghetti with her hands.
Like, just like picks it like pinched?
Yeah, like Mr. Krabs approach.
Yeah. Interesting.
The fork is right there. Like, it's not like we're in a situation of no forks.
Bib or no bib?
No bib.
Wow, what an animal.
No bib. And here's the problem. I've been thinking about that a lot. I talked to a lot of people about it. They're like, Maz, maybe she thought you're from the Middle East. And she's trying to be, accommodating to your culture, eating. Because sometimes we eat some stuff with our hands. I was like, dude, I had a fork.
It's not like you just pulled out some like naan bread and was just like pinching it with it and like
this was, and the worst part is like when it happened in front of me, I've always heard about fight or flight, right? The third option is freeze.
Yeah.
And that's what I defaulted to. And this not even comedy or funny or because we're here. My brain, all what I can think about was, this is not real. Until few more frames came to my eyes.
Yeah.
And the data started coming in. The brain was like, dude, this is bad.
Wow.
This is a run situation. That's the only time I've ever left a date.
I probably would have proposed.
Really? She's so comfortable around you. Can you imagine if that's her first date? What's the last date looking like?
Oh, she'd be just like ripping him in front of you. I don't know.
Dude, that was insane. That was insane. I didn't eat spaghetti for 4 years after that.
Wow.
That was nuts.
The one that got away, in my opinion.
I think it's the same thing. I think she might be talking about me to her people, like, that weird guy left immediately once the food came. Like, I don't know what's his deal was.
Like, this has got to be one of those, like, hidden camera pranks.
Exactly.
Like, looking around like, is she really eating with her hands?
When I left...
Spaghetti of all things.
Red sauce?
Red sauce.
Let's go. Like, wow. Some guys will be like, that's my girl. I'm like, no, it's not, dude. Like, it's not. I don't care how much sporty, like, wingy type of guy. That's not your girl. That's not anyone's girl at that point.
Wow.
I remember I had the same thought when I left. I was like, dude, I go to the restaurant, I'm walking, and I'm like, what is happening? But in my head, I was like, dude, somebody is going to stop me right now and be like, hey, we're filming or something. Nobody did. Just kept walking. I just kept walking and until I got to the bus stop.
Weird feeling on the back of your neck. Like, am I like in the throes of something mischievous right now?
That was weird. I say this is my third worst day. Not even first.
Wow. I want to hear about the second and the first.
The second one is really bad. Like really, really bad. I met this girl and went a couple of dates. I really liked her a lot. And we hooked up. I was like, oh my God, she's really into me. And after we hooked up, it's getting weird. And, I was like, oh, okay, it's just maybe I performed so poorly that she was like, I don't want to see that again, which is fine. No problem with that. I reached out and she said, I have a joke about that. And she said, the only reason I hooked up with you and I went on dates with you is because you are Egyptian. And I have a list of nationalities.
Oh, shit.
That I am trying to check off.
Wow. Girls do that too?
And I was like, dude, if I knew I was representing Egypt, I would have done way better.
Dude, you carried your whole country on your back.
That was the Olympics for me. Yeah. That was my Olympics, and I failed my country. She now thinks all Egyptians suck in bed. Wow. So that's really trauma as well. I was like, oh shit, I don't know. Like, I let my people down. Can go back home now. Yeah. But also, I think I told you about that before. We don't have sex in Egypt. It's illegal.
Oh, is it? Unless you're married.
Unless you're married.
Yeah.
So, the people really put a lot of hopes on me performing that day. But no, it's a weird place. Because people still have sex, by the way.
Yeah.
But the pressure is insane.
Yeah.
Because in any moment, you're worried someone is going to knock at the door, arrest both of you naked. And if they arrest you naked, they don't let you put your clothes on.
Oh.
They basically wrap you in a blanket and they drag you down the stairs in front of the entire city naked, and that's part of it, right? So you're the performance is nuts, and a lot of, again, I don't know how PG this is, but there's a lot of, virginity is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So if a girl is not a virgin, that's whoa, her family will possibly kill her.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal.
Fuck.
There are really, really poor places in Egypt, really poor, the ghettos of the ghettos. When the guy and a girl get married, to show the world that this girl was virgin, they would do this blanket thing where they would have a white sheet of blanket, and he would just literally pop a finger with the blanket to have blood on the sheets.
Yeah, and
then show it to everyone out. So in the middle of the wedding. Right after, they go into a room. Everyone is waiting outside with a white sheet. He pops the sheet, comes out, and be like, red sheet, and then everybody goes home and they have a life after.
Wow. Yeah. That's one crazy wedding intermission.
That's insane. And the thing is, you hear a lot of stories about like, oh, this girl was not a virgin, but the guy loved her so much and he wanted to preserve her honor. So they would do this, but they would have chicken blood ready in a vial or something, like some form of blood. And that's like such a loving thing to do for a girl to save her honor.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we fingering with white sheets in the middle of the wedding right now? I guess it's so extreme. Life in Egypt, no matter how I describe it to people, it's so extreme that you can imagine, but you still don't grasp it. Some even poorer version of this white sheet, the guy wouldn't do it. There would be a lady. Like a specific lady, not from the family, just a lady who's like a finger popping lady with the guy and the girl.
Oh, like and supervise it?
She would do it. She would be the one to do it.
Really?
To make sure.
To know that it's right.
Just in case they don't have any chicken blood. So it will be.
Holy shit.
Dude, it's a weird world. You hear about a lot of things. And again, don't want to get so graphic here, but in the poor people, really poor. By the way, when I say poor, because I grew up really poor in Egypt. Like I was homeless for a while and I had a lot of phases without food or shelter. Poor in Egypt is like life-threatening poor.
Yeah.
Like no food, no water, no shelter. That you're dead within 5 days in that, right? But you know, people who are barely making it, they would. It's a big taboo, of course. It's called female genital mutilation. Well, they will be like, oh, the girl is getting to be 14. She's about to be horny. So what do we need to do? They go to this guy who's like a barber. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like it's not a professional.
Yeah.
It would be weird if he was a professional in that, but like it's a barber. And they would like cut pieces from female genitalia. Because their theory is if that piece is rubbing against underwear, she's continuously horny and she will fuck. So what we have to do is Africa is weird. Also, by the way, this is not just an Egypt thing. This is an Africa thing.
Do they do a lot of arranged marriage in Egypt?
Depending on your social class. So if you're rich, more developed family, not really. But if you're like on the poorer side of things, yes. Also, if you have a lot of... It's weird. If you're really poor, yes. If you're super ultra rich, yes. But if you're anything in the middle, no.
Yeah.
Because they want to keep the wealth. It's like royal family, but if you're not royal. So they'd be like, oh, they own all the manufacturing of steel in Egypt. We own all the manufacturing of whatever in Egypt. We want to merge these industries. My son will marry his daughter and with 2 families unite.
Yeah.
Royal level of weirdness. A lot of cousins. There's a lot of cousins happening. Getting Egypt, it's be like, cousins.
Sure.
And it's not like second cousin. No, like your dad's brother, daughter. Yeah. Like it's like right there. So like the genetics are messed up. I would say
it's a little tricky.
Oh, you know about the Egypt 4 wives thing?
No.
So you're allowed 4 wives.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
Is it like any stipulations about like where you get your 4 wives from? Do they have to be like, it can just be anybody?
4. Feel like, hey, I'm making a good case for Egypt right now.
What's the ratio of male to female in Egypt? Is it 50-50? Like, is it a little more?
I would say it's not off. It's not awkwardly off.
Yeah.
That is like, I think this may be almost the same amount or maybe slightly more females.
Yeah.
But like, because it's a religious thing. The 4 wives is coming from a very specific part in the religion. And I think it's being misinterpreted because the religion be like, oh, if you have 4 wives, you have to be exactly equal to all of them in finances and in love and in passion and in pleasure, which is impossible.
Yeah.
It's an impossible thing. But you would see a guy with 4 wives. Probably guys don't have money.
Yeah.
They would be like, I'm just, following the religion, doing the right thing. I'm like, giving these ladies a home. I'd be like, dude, you can't eat. You don't have money to eat. What home are you giving these people? Same thing with condoms.
I would think the poor guy with 4 wives has it way better off than the rich guy with 4 wives.
The rich guy with 4 wives is like, has a lot to worry about.
You have problems.
A lot to worry about. The very poor people, it's a lot. I'm not shitting on Egypt, but I'm just saying there's a lot of bizarre things that are happening. The poorer side of the country would be like, condoms are against the religion.
Yeah.
Because they are, we are obstructing God's will.
That's the case with a lot of like Christian stuff here too.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
So you would have someone with 9 kids and 5 of them are in the street.
Yeah.
That's like so common. They'll be like, follow the religion. The religion is saying I should fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't think so, dude. Like, I don't think the religion is saying have 9 kids.
And abandon them. Let them run
at
wild.
the age of 5, they'll be like, hey, go find your way.
Yeah.
And they will just work in like car shops or like stuff like that. And it's like
hustling, doing what they can do to live.
I get it. Learn a lot. I learned a lot from being poor and being homeless and I talk about it sometimes about being chased by gangs and being chased by cops and having really weird life growing up. It shaped me a lot. Like I know a lot of things, but sometimes you carry some things. You're like, I wish I didn't have that. I wish I didn't go through some of that, but it is what it is. So that's Egypt. Egypt is a lot of funny there, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of funny stuff to make fun of. But again, I can't make joke about that in Egypt.
Yeah.
You
can't do it there. You can sort of take your perspective of being there and make it funny here.
A lot of my comedy is compare and contrast between Egypt and the US. Because there's a lot of things to you guys are pretty normal.
Yeah.
And to us, it's like, what is that?
Bananas, right?
Vegans. What? It's one of my favorite jokes would be like, vegans, what's up with that? We have something in Egypt very similar. We call them poor. Right? Because it is, to me, that's so weird. Like, it's like you have everything to the point that you are like,
I'm just going to skip that.
Just going to skip
that protein today.
Everything. I'm gonna eat fibers forever now.
You gonna eat some grass just for the hell of it.
The shits must be crazy.
I've never done all vegan. I recently did this, not really a diet, but I did a 72-hour just water fast.
You lost weight?
I didn't lose. I actually ended up losing, I think, around 11 pounds.
Wow.
But it gained, some back quickly. It wasn't so much to me the weight loss, and I wasn't really doing it to lose like a ton of weight. Yeah. I just wanted to sort of like reset a little bit, and I felt good after doing it, but I had so much brain fog by the 3rd day. I was struggling. At work, I was like, I can't do this for any more days because I would be a liability at this point.
I want to ask you about something. This might be a slightly topic change. How is your mental health before, during, and after comedy?
Wow,
touching hardcore.
No, I don't know. I guess I don't really like think about mental health. I don't know.
It's a guy's thing.
I don't know. It's like people, it's funny you say that, right? Somebody asked me about mental health the other day. I felt like an idiot because I didn't know what they were talking about. And not even, like, I don't want to sound like ignorant towards it or something. I just wasn't, maybe it's how I was raised. I wasn't raised about like mental health and like I'm aware that it exists. I know that people sometimes I'm not saying like I don't ever struggle with stuff. Yeah. Or like think about regrets or think about like every once in a while. Okay, I'm gonna just use this.
Please,
talk about mental health.
Please.
So I went out. I might have even told the story of the podcast. Where I went out for lunch one time out in Ipswich, Massachusetts. It's where my wife is from. She's from Ipswich. We went to this sort of like famous restaurant. They're called the Choate Street Pub. It's like really good pub, really good pizza, and we were out on her brother's boat all day. I was not hammered, but I was feeling good. We had a couple drinks at the bar, and we were paying the tab. We were getting ready to leave. And as we were walking out, there was, a person at the table next to us. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you look just like Steve Buscemi. And she looks up at me. And I realized, one, that it was a girl. And two, it hit me that, like, Steve Buscemi's not this, like, good-looking dude that people want to be compared to anyway. And, like, everybody at the table that she was at, just, like, like, when you hear everybody's, like, silverware, like, just, like, touch down on a plate, like, it has, like, a loud sort of, like...
It's horrible.
Everybody stopped to look, and my wife... The look on her face was like nothing. It was like this color white. Like we had just started dating. Like I barely knew her family. Like it. And every once in a while, I'll just like wake up in a cold sweat and be like Steve Buscemi, and like out of nowhere, and I wonder, like, I'm like, is that mental health? I'm like, is that like me, like thinking about that? Like, is that what it is? Like, I don't know.
I think the funniest thing is that you think this is a mental health trauma.
I really do. I get flashbacks to Steve Buscemi. Just if I could, this is where I need AI to come in. I need AI to somehow transfer the image of her face from my brain so other people can see how disgusted she was in me. Like, it was one of the most humiliating things I've ever done. And maybe that's the closest. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when I thought of mental health. But,
wow.
I mean, after I go up on stage and eat shit, it might be a tough couple of days for me. I'll be like thinking about it. But I don't know. I don't really care. It's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I think of comedy like this. Like, I have a job that I work. I work very hard on my job. I bust my ass. But I do it for a company. I do it for an organization. That's time that I give to them, and they give me money to do it.
Yeah.
Comedy is something that I'm doing 100% for myself. Like, I may suck at it sometimes, and I might do well at it sometimes, but I try to have a very short memory when it comes to on stage. If I do really great, okay, on to the next one. If I suck, I'm going to feel it until I get back on stage the next time and maybe not suck as bad. And I go up a lot and suck. Like, it is what it is.
That's
like,
how
it just happens,
That's how it is. Yeah.
Especially doing a lot of open mics when you're trying new material out. But I don't know. I don't think of it as anything more than that. Just a job, but the difference is it's a job for myself, not somebody else. It's a job that I would love to one day be able to do full time for myself. Yeah. Because to me, that would be me living my best. Like, I love my job now. I love where I work. I love the people I work for. But I do have that dream of one day being able to do what I love for money.
Yeah. First of all, it's the mental health part. Again, it's very different. Like, it's really interesting you say that way. You say it that way because that's telling me you've never been to therapy, I'm assuming.
No.
Right. And that's fine. A lot of guys.
I shouldn't know people that go to therapy. That's not for me.
Yeah. A lot of guys, I mean, we grow up in that mentality of like, also in Egypt, it's not a thing. If you say mental health, they'd be assuming with you being insane. Yeah. So it's very shameful thing. But it's, I don't know. After I went to all the bullshit, when I was in the middle of the bullshit, when I was like homeless and poor and didn't have food, of course I didn't think about that, right? That was not a thing. But when life got better, I started losing my mind because my brain, all what I knew was bullshit. Yeah. All what I knew was, I need shelter, I need food, like the basic necessities. And once I started having enough money to have all of these things all the time, my brain was running nuts because I'm so unused to it. And it's a big part for me in relationships, for example. People love me. I freak out because I'm not used to that. It makes me very, very uncomfortable. And that's why I'm asking about therapy, because comedy to me, it started like, oh, I need to do this because I need to have a life. And I did it. And I was like, whoa, this is brutal. Like when you bomb so many times in a row, Like, how many times before you snap is the question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I assume people who go nuts and do some crazy shit are probably stand-up comics who bomb 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good number to bomb before you be like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I would, there's, I told you about this Egyptian comic, Bassem, and one of my short-term goals, I really want to open for him.
Yeah.
And dude, I was talking to my friend and they were like, whoa, what after opening for him? I'm like, no, I'm planning to be a comic. This I have a long-term plan. I work in a really good company. I make a good amount of money from it. I love it. But comedy, I know if I leave my job and do comedy, I'm going to be very poor, way poorer than I am. But at least when I die, I wouldn't be questioning, what if I tried comedy?
Yeah.
Because now I know it's a wrong decision. But I would do it just to make sure.
Yeah, and you're good at it too. It's more than just that. It's something that you're good at.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The imposter syndrome prevents me from believing that. I think we'll all have it. Like, it doesn't matter. I'll be killing on stage. I'll get off. People are like, oh my god, good job. Like, oh, yeah, thanks.
I know. I'm like, exactly. I'll look at I'm like, I missed a tag somewhere.
Oh, it was horrible. I was like, I bombed so bad.
Yeah.
I did a show this Friday. Midway Cafe.
Yeah.
I did Kill Tiny.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I'm very honored to be on, right?
Yeah.
But Midway is one of the interesting, it's very rowdy. It's like a dive bar, like it's like everybody. And I took Bullet and I did well. Yeah. And everybody's telling me, oh, you did great. But I got off stage so grumpy. Everybody can see it on my face. Be like, dude, you did well. I'm like, no, that was really bad. I really bombed so bad. And then next day, I've been listening to the recordings religiously.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Like, break it down like a maniac. And I listened to it. I was like, you know what? It wasn't that bad, actually. I did actually okay. Very okay.
Yeah.
And it's always like that. You think you did bad. You listen to the recording. You did okay. You think you killed. You listen to the recording. You actually did not that great. So the recording always levels you up in the middle, which is awesome. I love.
How long was your set?
10.
10?
I'm in this place right now where I'm way more comfortable than before doing 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I remember. It's one of those things I remember 6-7 months ago. By the way, Jack Holiday's going to bring him up. Jack gave me my first ever show.
Nice.
He saw me in a mic. He's like, you can do 5 minutes. Back then, I was like, oh, 5? Dude, I can do 12. Right? I didn't even have 4. I'll say that. If you think you have 20, you probably have 4 or 5. And I now say I have 10, because I have in my head maybe 30, 40 minutes that I'm picking 10 from or 8 from. So it's always like that with comedy.
Yeah.
But dude, it's a journey. It's a mental health journey. But I'm really grateful for comedy. It gives me something to look forward to. All my friends are from comedy in Boston.
Yeah.
Literally every single friend I have is from comedy.
Yeah, so you give a little bit of yourself, or more than a little bit, to it, but you're getting a lot back.
Getting way more. My return on investment is so good in comedy right now. I am friends, good time, something like this. We're hanging out, we're talking.
Chilling.
Into a lot of cameras. Some people would look at this and be like, dude, I hope I don't say something messed up. Because again, comics in front of a mic, some very specific topics come up very quickly. But dude, it's awesome.
I know. I'm a little over 3 years in now doing comedy. And I had this moment where I needed to change up. Because I still don't necessarily feel like I know 100% my personality on stage. That's my
voice
thing. Yeah, my voice. I want to, I still I'm getting there, but I still wouldn't say I'm I know it 100% yet. And maybe about 6 months ago, and I do the same thing. I record every set on the way the drive home. At least I listen to it. Yeah. Maybe if I get home and I'm not doing stuff with the kid or the wife or trying to get ready for work, I'll watch it, because I think that's a big part of it for me too. Is how I'm moving around on stage.
Yeah.
But I recently, I was seeing that I was I was feeling good about 15-minute sets. And I took my set list and I cut my jokes down literally in half.
Tights, yeah.
So I went from my 15-minute set to just it actually was under 7 minutes. All the same jokes, but mostly all one-liners. and it seriously improved the laughs I was getting for my sets. Like, I was crushing them, but now I'm in this other spot where I'm like, okay, now I got to start like building back up some other stuff, some more writing, and trying to extend my set a little bit. And I did like a 12-minute set. I think it was like the longest one I've done recently since I like cut everything down. But that's like my biggest thing right now is like I'm trying to like do this stuff and then go back, listen to it, look at it again, and then just like cut it, like severely.
That's the best thing you can do. Ralphie May have a video on YouTube. It's called the Ralphie May comedy class. Yeah, he talks for an hour.
Oh, really?
An hour and 15 minutes about comedy, his process, and advice to a lot of new comics. It's on YouTube. It's old. It looks a bit old, but the stuff in that are like amazing.
He's a killer. I love Ralphie May. So funny.
Yeah, the guy. I mean, his life changed a lot after he broke up with his wife and everything. But the great guy. But like his thing was cut it. Keep cutting. Keep tightening it up. Like you need to. I don't know if you think about it this way. I think about it that way a lot. How many punches per minute do you have? Because people there don't need to. We're not. I'm sorry if I'm saying we. I am not in a place like Chappelle where I'm gonna do a 2-minute setup for a joke. I'm not gonna do 3-minute setup for a joke, right? So to me, the goal is 3 punches per minute. So you need the jokes to be set up like maybe one line, punch. So many punches, and his theory is, which is true. You have 15 minutes. You cut it to 7 minutes. That's a very tight 7 minutes. Technically, you should not be missing anything on those 7 minutes. That's a guaranteed 7. But the best thing when you do that, in the 7, you're going to start to know who is stronger than who in the 7. Yeah. And now you even know who's the strongest in the strongest.
Yeah, where am I putting it?
And that's like, to me, I have 15 that I do, 10 to 15. But in those, I know there are 4 jokes. No matter where we are, no matter who the people are, they're going to hit. Yeah. And, you have to put them in the set in a way. You strive to everyone to be in the same level. But you kind of know, right? Yeah. And someone, I think local, was saying, jokes are in 3 categories. You either jokes that don't work, jokes that always work, or jokes that sometimes work. You only keep the one that always work. Yeah. Out of every 15 jokes I write, 1 will be in that category. Yeah. But it gets better. The more you do it, the quicker you are in writing, the more you're going to find this one over and over and over again. It gets better. And I live a very extreme life. I'm an obsessionist. I find something locked in. So I watch comedy at home when I'm eating. I listen to comedy when I'm editing. I listen to comedy when I'm driving. Not my comedy. Yeah. People I like. Mm-hmm. So it's all what's in my head. Yeah. So I'm so annoying on dates. Because that's all what I know.
Who are your top? Give me your top 3 comics.
Very similar in style, and they're very good friends. Sam Morril. Yeah. Mark Normand.
Oh yeah.
This combo. Yeah. They are
great podcasters too.
Yeah, I love Normand is a treasure. Yeah. Because he's just himself and he's that weird in real life, and I love that. Yeah. But if you watch his special, I learned. I watched old Norman, I watched new Norman, I watched middle Norman. It's so different. If you watch the old Norman, like 8 years ago, he would be doing a Comedy Central set with Ari's bringing him up, and it will be like a good 8-9 minutes, and he have one story, and there's a lot of punches, but it's a one massive storyline. But then you watch Norman latest special, an hour. By the way, Norman punches maybe 3 jokes a minute. Yeah. That's his rate for an hour. But now they're not one story. There's so many smaller stories, and he moves and you don't feel it. But it's not like one big story that he's building throughout the entire way. Yeah. And that changed. And that's what I strive to do, is something, not one-liner, but I'm not a storyteller. Like the story is 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. And there's so many punches in it. And another guy I really, really like, I really have a lot of respect for his game, is Andrew Scholes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Controversial? Sure. I respect
good crowd work, too. He does a lot of good
He's the OG. I mean, before Matt Rife explodes like that, the person who exploded from the New York crowd work well, at least for me, and at the time
I knew. I mean, I knew about Matt Rife a little bit from that show on MTV he was on.
Wild and Out.
Yeah, but I didn't really. I shouldn't say I knew him from. I like recognized him from it. But Schultz, like that's who I really like started seeing do a lot more crowd work.
Yeah, and like Schultz, I also respect, and maybe not everybody knows this. If you watch Schultz, he does tours. I've seen his stuff live. Really good guy, but tours. Go watch his videos on YouTube. His clips from Dubai, from United Arab Emirates. He was in Sharjah. He was not in Dubai. This is maybe you will not find it fun. It's 3 to 4 minutes, but maybe you won't find it funny. But let me tell you, this is the most intelligent location-based jokes anyone can make. He does so much research.
Yeah.
The jokes are killing in Sharjah because he has so specific knowledge of the city, of everything that's happening. In Sharjah, which is one of the big Emirates in UAE, he'd be like, oh, we have anyone here from any other Emirate? People are like, oh, Dubai. Dubai is very known for being rich. But Sharjah is traditionally known for being the OG rich. They have way more money than Dubai. So what his punch? He'd be like, oh, how does it feel to be around real money? And that kills because they're mind blown. Mind blown. How does this American guy know this? He does this really funny joke where he says, oh, I saw Burj Khalifa. You know, like when they were building it up, they had to get trucks to take off the shit because there was no sewage. And he was like, and that's why you shit on a hooker's chest because there was no sewage. And that's a rich people in Dubai thing. They would get hookers, pay them money, shit on their chest, and they leave. That's such a specific knowledge.
Yeah.
And I respect his research to the highest levels because of it. Because I'm from the Middle East. I know these jokes hit.
Yeah.
Watch that. I would send you that clip. He's an amazing crowd works for like very funny, but the research he puts into that.
It's a pro, man.
It's his life, and you should. Yeah, I look up some videos on how he started. He talks about how he started. He started in New York. He started doing bringer shows. He would be in the street barking and like getting people and working on his craft. Like really admirable guy.
Yeah.
These are to me the three that I really wanna be around, be friends with, be funny on their level. That's to be. If I'm funny around Normand, I think I'm good. Yeah. I think life is fine. Life is okay.
Life is good.
Life is okay.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah.
What about you? Who are your top three? And do you want to be like to me, Norman? I'd be like, I feel like my style. I want to be like Norman stylistically. But who are your three? And do you want to be like them, or just you want to have your own?
I think the three that I sort of grew up on that I would say I maybe like would consider them my major influences would be Dave Attell, especially from his old TV show on Comedy Central. I don't know if you've ever seen any of it. It was called not Late Night, but oh crap. He had this show where he went around cities. He would do a set over, but he would like see what's going on like after midnight in these cities.
Oh, okay.
And him just being funny and quick. So Dave Attell is definitely one of them. I used to listen to a lot of Opie and Anthony, so like I'm gonna put these two guys together, so I'm kind of cheating, and they're very different stylistically. But Jim Norton and Patrice O'Neill were like two guys that I really just listen to like pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And as far as like everyday personality, like for podcasts or radio, like those guys are big influences for me. And I would say probably my number one would be Norm Macdonald.
Wow.
Norm Macdonald is like I could watch. I had the pleasure of seeing him live a couple of times before he died, and he was I think one of my just all time favorites. For a local comedian, you know, there's a guy. I'm from Malden originally, and he's from Malden, and he was the first comedy show I ever went to. But a guy, Paul Gilligan, I think he's like one of the best too.
Wow,
hilarious. But yeah, those are I would say my top influences in comedy for sure.
Do you feel your comedy style is being influenced by them and it's like kind of, I wouldn't say imitating them, but like getting inspired? Or you're just doing your own thing?
I'm sure that there is some stuff like that I don't realize I do that's similar to them, but I don't think my comedy is very similar to their style much. Maybe closer to like Norm Macdonald's a little bit, because I used to religiously watch his Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And I do think sometimes some of my punchlines are kind of like that, where it's like, you know, you're saying like 3 beats per minute. So that's sort of my style. It's like I just try to do like maybe a hot take on something quick, and then that's it. So I like also like Rodney Dangerfield, Don Rickles, like those old guys that my dad kind of got me into back in the day. Like those, I would say probably more, if I could say I was sort of more like stylistically, would probably be like a Rodney Dangerfield style.
Yeah, dude, like I remember when we did the cut, the place in Gloucester.
Oh yeah.
You destroyed, but because they're like, get it to the point. Like I hate when I see people, especially, I don't hate, but like they're newish, and they're like doing a very long setup. Dude, nobody knows who you are. Get to the funny. Yeah. Like, and that's one of the first advices I got. I actually got it from, Mo Musa.
Yeah.
Mo.
He's another local dude. Hilarious. Dude. Mo. Killer.
I was a fan of Mo before, and then I became a comic, and now I share stage with Mo. And that's like, to me, and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, super nice.
When I started, he was like, dude, get to the point, my guy. We don't have all day here. You have 5 minutes. Yeah. You like pack as many bullets as you can for that round.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Like, I think comedy, you can also get like really hyper analyzing in it. Like, the more I am doing, I look at my jokes and I'll be like, oh, this is a compare and contrast. This is an exaggeration. And I find what worked for me. I'm not a bit like, I would love to be a one-liner guy. I'm not it. I tried. Wordplay. I can't sell it too well. I am more of an absurdity. Yeah. Like, I would just say something and you'd be like, what? I
think that's a little bit me too. Like, I do like having some sort of weird, like, I feel like most of my jokes, that's sort of the reaction I get from the crowd anyways. Like, that's pretty ridiculous,
And then you punch it right away. Like, because they're like, what? And then you say something very normal. Yeah. Like, oh, this girl, she saw my photo on Instagram and she texted me and she was like, oh, I looked at the photo and I looked at the surroundings and I found where you were and the map, and this is the store, and the sky, it seems like it was around between 6 and 8 p.m. And I'll be like, you could have asked. I would have told you where I was. That's what I mean. It's so absurd. Yeah. And then you'd be like, what happened to, or you could have like something very simple, and they're with you. Yeah. But do you think, and again, I'm not saying this because this is your show, but I've always wondered, because since I met you not that long ago, you've had your son. Yeah. And all what I know, like I like your comedy, but I always been like, oh, he's a great dad. Oh, like from what I gather. From what I present. From what I see, right? Do you think your comedy was affected by you having your son?
Oh my God, yes. 100%. And I started comedy before I had my son, and I went back. I actually started a very similar way to you. I signed up for a comedy class at Laugh Boston. Oh, who was my initial teacher. So I did 2 comedy classes. Yeah. My initial one was with Dan Crone. Of course. Great guy. Very funny comic, really nice guy. Mm-hmm. And then my second teacher was Will Noonan, who's also amazing, awesome dude, really funny.
Awesome hang.
Say it.
Awesome hang.
Yeah. So it's like I've had like 2 really good guys like right off the bat to like sort of help me out. But I did those classes. They were both through Laugh Boston, but I did one, and then I didn't do Will's class until almost 2 years into comedy. Wow. Because when I did level 1, not enough people. I wanted to do level 2 right away, but not enough people signed up, so it just got canceled. So I had randomly, I was still doing open mics and stuff like that. I mean, I still do open mics, but I was like still, working, trying to grind out open mics, and I saw that they put up another level 2 on their website, so I just signed up for it. And when I did level 1, I didn't have a kid. But when I did level 2, I did have a son. And I went back, and I actually, this is recently, I listened to my set at the level 1 graduation class, whatever. Yeah. And I did. I crushed. I killed it. But, everybody, it was a pretty big crowd. And I think it's just in that environment, it's a more supported crowd where people are laughing maybe more than they should, I guess. But if I tried to do those jokes now, it's not me. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be, it probably would not be funny. And I could still maybe try to like get some lines out of it and tie it into something else. But most of my comedy now is so focused on, like, I try to make it relatable family things because that's what's on my mind all the time.
But that makes you very well connecting with people, because normal people would have a family, would have a son. Maybe not right now. Maybe they had a son, and when they were young, they had the same issues you're facing or the same funny that you're seeing, and they're going to tie to it. And that's really good. That's like really connecting with a big genre of people. It's way better than a comic who is really into something so niche, like it will connect with 5% of the people.
Yeah.
That's really rough. You have to find funny in that. But that's I always wondered, because I remember when we first met, I saw you doing comedy. I was like, wow, there's a lot of son content. Like I think it was also like around your son just like arrived to this world. So there was a lot of things you're like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah, and I would say what makes that important to me too is that it's stuff I enjoy talking about. Like, it doesn't strain me to like think about those comparisons. I'm not like sitting around being like, how can I make it? It just is like, it's always on my mind. Like, when you have a kid, you can't, as I'm like not near them, as I'm abandoning my family right after this podcast, but like it's you have to pay so much more attention than I ever thought I would have to pay attention to something. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I wasn't this guy that was like, oh, I'm going to have a family, I'm going to do all this stuff. Like, I got very lucky. I met my wife, and things worked out. But I wasn't looking for a wife at that time. I'd almost like swore off. I had so many like random relationships that just like were shitty. I was like, I'm done. Like, whatever. I'm just like,
where did you meet her? Please tell me it's not Craigslist.
No, not Craigslist. We actually met at work.
Okay. She's also a behavioral therapist?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
So we have a lot in common there. And, but you know, the clients we work with can be very, at times, like aggressive or have a lot of self-injury. And, you know, when you're working with somebody in that type of environment, like, you do bond with them, you know, because you're, you know, in really tough situations often. Both you know, you're trying to stop somebody from hurting themselves, or maybe stopping them from hurting another staff member. So, and not just like stop it, but also, you know, a big part of our job is how do we change or adjust the environment to decrease the likelihood of that behavior. Yeah. Like, how do we, if somebody's smashing their head off the wall because you're telling them to do work, how do I give them an option or some type of functional communication to make it easier for them to say, oh, I'm all done, or I need a break, versus hitting somebody? Or you know, so you go through these, you know, trials and tribulations with your coworkers, and we just really bonded over life at work.
You both must be so patient as human beings.
I realize I am. I feel like I'm like, I was always like decently like a patient guy, but you know, I feel like everybody at every job has to have some type of level of patience, you know?
No, dude, I don't have that in me. I have these few things where I will never have kids.
Yeah.
I'll never get married.
Not your thing?
Not my thing. The kids, I don't like children.
Yeah.
At all. And I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
For it. And I feel like I'm also in this place where my job in comedy, I'm moving so fast. My brain is like firing all the time, thoughts in every different direction. That's why I'm really difficult to date as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm
hard to nail down.
And my brain is like going everywhere at this insane speed all the time. It's like a severe form of ADHD, but it's helpful for comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm not stopping it. Like I'm not.
It's almost a benefit in comedy.
But it's horrible in every other life aspect. Yes. Like, because you're horrible to be around.
You are a horrible person.
But funny.
Great on stage.
Funny. Funny. I mean, like, I was talking, and I go to therapy, and she'd be like, oh, but Maz, do you want to fix these things? I'm like, I'm really worried if I fix it, it's not going to be funny anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to fix it. Because sometimes, like, and I do jokes about therapy a lot. I do jokes about, like, suicidal tendencies sometimes and things like that. And I joke about it, and it's funny because I'm not suicidal tendencies, right? And someone was like, "Oh, if you tried Adderall, if your brains," I'd be like, "Look, I have so many voices in my head saying things. If I take Adderall, all what I'm gonna focus on is the voices.
Yeah.
And I don't want to focus on the voices. I want to focus on everything else.
Yeah.
So it's really like it's comedy. I feel like it shapes who you are. And what really scares me sometimes? I would go to an open mic in a random place. I would hear someone say something horrible, something really, really worrying. And sometimes I'll be like, is this a joke?
I know.
Or is this who you are? And I can't tell. It's so hard to tell. There's some people I know, they do like very offensive jokes, but I know them. I'll be like, they're good people. Yeah. Some people I know, and I'll be like, I don't think that's a joke. I think you just want to hurt someone.
I know. That's like the real dark side of it, because it's at an open mic, anybody can get on stage.
Can say anything.
And you never really... I don't know if this is like a defense mechanism I have, and maybe why I'm not as like close to my peers as like hanging out and stuff like that, but I almost like disassociate myself from all of that. Like I very real, like at the cut, like you also had a great set at the cut, but like I know you a little bit. I know you're on, so I'm going to watch you do your set. Like,
yeah.
I know you're not a piece of trash. You know what I mean? I know you're a good person. So I want to watch what you do. But if it's somebody I don't really know, or somebody that I even like, it seems like they got like that weird kind of person, I usually don't watch it because I don't want to have those thoughts where I'm like, is this person really gonna like hurt themselves? Like,
yeah,
it's hard because I don't want to be in a position where I have to like ask somebody like, hey, like,
everything okay?
Yeah, because like maybe they don't want to talk about it. Maybe that like makes them not feel okay. Even it's hard because we're people too. Like we want to like help out people. You know what I mean? Like most people want to make sure that you're okay personally, your immediate family's okay personally, your friends are good, and like even just general acquaintances, like people on the street, like people want to help out one another, and I feel that.
Yeah.
But it's like you can only give so much, and if somebody's just always up there and like always like
I'm gonna
questionable,
do it.
Might do it. It's like, well, like I don't know, I can't really like put myself in that position to like get hurt by that because I know people that have killed themselves. Like I was close to a couple people that, one person that killed. It's maybe the most helpless situation you can ever be in.
It's I think there was a series called The Blacklist, and they described it very well. And they were like killing yourself is like a terroristic act.
Yeah.
Against everyone in your life. And it's like a bomb, and the closer they are, the closer they are to the bomb. So they get affected the most by the bomb. So you're hurting everyone in your closest vicinity and outward. And that's the amount of damage you do.
Yeah.
And I do these jokes because I'm not gonna my jokes are really concerning, but they're funny, so I get away with it.
You're not just going up there being like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I think they work because I'm not actually gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean? They work because I'm so out of it. Like, in a way, I mean, there was part of my life where I was like, this sucks, right? Yeah. But it's never like, sometimes it'll be like, oh my god, life is really bad, but that's not gonna fix it.
Yeah,
that's not the way, But no, comedy is really interesting in that aspect. And here's the thing: some people be like, "Oh, don't make a joke about suicide. Don't make a joke about race. Don't make a joke about." Here's my deal: if you can make a joke about anything you want, and it can be as offensive and as horrible as you want it to be, but it has to be funny.
Yeah, it's got to be. You can't skip that part. It could be about anything, but it's got to be funny.
If you're gonna make a racist joke, you better make a funny racist joke.
Yeah.
To the point that the people you're attacking are gonna find it funny.
Yeah.
So that is the hard part. Like I do this. By the way, these suicide jokes were horrible when I started.
Yeah.
And everybody like, ooh. The worst thing you can do to a comic is when they say a joke and be like, ugh, or like, ooh, like the grunting noise.
Yeah.
To me, sometimes I love it because it embraces them for what's coming. There's this lady. I think her name is Adriana Bellucci. I might be butchering her last name, but her first name is Adrian. She used to open for Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And she is master of writing jokes, and she has a very straight face where she would say something, whoa, and she punches it funny. But people would be like, whoa.
Taking it back a little bit, yeah.
Whoa. She also has a lot of, she's a lady in New York, and she does a lot of sort of, it comes off at the beginning anti-feminist jokes.
Yeah.
So all the girls in the crowd is like, what the hell is she doing?
Yeah.
And then
you're an ally.
she'd be like, people say ladies are horrible drivers. So I run them over. So it's just like, she does that type of jokes where it's just like, I do that in a way in racism. Because I don't know if you know this, but I do this joke where I was like in the North End and I asked someone, I was like, where can I get Middle Eastern food around here? And the guy looked at me and he was like, back where you came from. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He was right. Food sucks. Egypt has great food, you know? So it's like, as long as you can do that. But if you say the punch, back where you came from, and that's your punch, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to, because now they're they tighten up. Now it's really difficult.
Yeah. It takes the absurdity out of it. It takes the like juice out of it, you know? It's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's. It's hard because maybe the funniest jokes or the jokes that I find the funniest probably maybe started there though. It's like what you said, like it takes a lot of work to, sometimes jokes, they just come to you and they're great right off the bat, but sometimes most often for me, it takes a lot of crafting and a lot of shifting things around, verb placement, not like adjective, like you
order of operation. Yeah.
You know, it's like once you sort of key in those things, you make it great. It's awesome, but you've probably told that joke on stage 20 times, and it's maybe not 20, but like, you know, quite a few times where it was not good.
What I can't wait to be a bigger comic to do is to do, like, if I have maybe like more like 15 or 20 minutes set, I want to do more crowd work.
Yeah.
The thing is, we cannot do it because I have 10 minutes. I'm not going to waste 2 or 3 minutes out of my 10 on the possibility of this crowd work being great. But if I have 20, I can do good 8, 9, have them warmed up, do 5 minutes of like finding funny. And if things go south, I have so much material I can deflect on and keep the show running. When you're doing 10, I see people who are like doing 5 and they try to do, I'm like, dude, you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I need to warm them up in 2 minutes. I need to make sure my closer, my minute and a half at the end is really good. And I'm here to try 1 minute of new stuff.
I'm so guilty of that. When I first started, I was very much into trying to like feed off the crowd. And sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't. But actually, Will Noonan in the level 2 class or whatever, he gave me a really good piece of advice. And I actually use this piece of advice for other parts of my life, even at work. I'll if I'm doing some type of training or something like that, I'll apply it to this. But he told me, listen, crowd work is like cooking with salt. A little bit can really elevate a dish and make it taste great. You put a little bit too much in it and it's going to sour everybody's meal. Yeah. So if you're going to do it, pepper it in there, but don't overdo it because you could ruin it.
Matt Finicos does this.
Funny guy,
Love Matt. Really good, supportive, amazing guy. He does it in a really, I wouldn't say safe way, but kind of safe. So he already have the joke he's going to say. He's going to do a joke about him being a teacher in Lawrence. Yeah. Right? So he would ask someone, be like, where do you go to school? And he will see the answer. If there's something funny, he might say something funny. But if there isn't, I'll be like, I teach in Lawrence. And he goes back to his joke. Yeah. So he's kind of fishing. Yeah, he's just fishing. And if there's something funny there, he'll punch it, a couple of punches, and go back to his joke. But that's very different from people who just walk into the stage, probably not much prepared, and be like, what do you do for work? Yeah. And by the way, I just want to say, and I'm not in any position to give anyone advice, but if you're on a show and you have a headliner, someone who's doing 30 minutes, at the end, 30, 40, maybe more. Please don't do that if you're an opener or a feature who have 10 minutes, because you're taking sort of like, for example, if the headliner tries to come and try to do crowd work, they're already like, dude, crowd work again. Don't do that. Or at least talk to your headliner. Because I see people do that. They'd be like, they do crowd work and then 10.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And maybe their headliner was not watching. So he would come to, which is, he should be watching, or they should be watching. Come to the stage and be like, oh, so what do you do for work? And what if, oh my God, you ask the same guy again? Oh my God, you are in a situation right now.
Yeah.
They get away with it. They're funny people. They find their way out. But like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a clean show?
Yes, I have.
How did that go?
Actually, for me, it was a pretty easy transition from my jokes because I don't have a ton of. I'm not a clean comic by any stretch, but I was able to finagle like how I said some of my material, so it was fine. It was a 7-minute set, so it was. I actually had 7 like relatively clean minutes of jokes. That was fine.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I like did like very well because when I did the show, I also wasn't really like that good either. It was just like a show I got. But I
think that's great. Like if you look back at things you did, then you'd be like, I was not that good back then. That's awesome. That's the place you want to be in.
I do that when I talk about last week. I'm like, that's not good.
That's awesome. You should be really worried if you talk about a set in 2 months ago. And be like, oh, I was really good back then. You must be really worried because that means you are now, you're still the same or not better.
Yeah.
Then that's really scary. I'm asking about the clean show. I'm doing a clean show on the 1st of September in a college around here. And I'm opening for someone. And the instructions I got were, it's clean. I was like, how clean is clean? Like baby clean? Like are there children in the crowd?
Know, like what?
We don't know. Me and the other openers, we don't know. We like, it says family friendly content. What does that mean? Like what the for example, my suicide joke. I can't say suicide, but I can say I think sometimes about horrible things.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave that to interpretation of the family. Yeah. So I will see how that goes. I'm asking because I've never done it before. I've never done a clean show before. I'm doing 12.
You should they should be able to tell you a little bit more specifically about what they mean by clean or dirty.
It's just crazy that we're doing clean in a college. That's the dirtiest place for jokes on the planet. Yeah, I've never played a college. Oh, I hear it can be tricky. Heard it's insane.
I heard it can be tricky for sure. But, sometimes it's like, it could be like you're playing at a college where it's like, hey, we're doing a comedy night, like come get tickets and do it. Or it's like you're at a college and you're playing for a sorority or like a specific group. Oh, yeah. And that might change like what's clean or what's not clean for sure.
I did a show and it was a late night show. And not the late night. It was a show later in the night.
Yeah.
And there was a fraternity on my left side of the stage.
Yeah.
And a sorority on my right side of the stage. And they're freaking flirting the entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage. And I'm like, you guys, get a room somewhere. Yeah. Like, what are we doing in this place
right now? It's like Braveheart. Like, they just ready to charge.
And I'm in the middle. I'm like, I don't want to be in the middle of this. But that was a good, late experience. Because I'm relatively young in a way, which is a surprise. I'm way younger than everybody thinks. Everybody thinks I'm really old, which is good. It's great. It's good for my...
Yeah, it's better than being old like me, and people still think you're old.
It's old, Like, how old are you?
I'm 40.
Wow. Not saying anything. I'm old. Not saying anything to that. I'll just look at the camera and not say anything, comment about it. Yeah, I'm 27.
Oh, perfect. Dude.
Yeah, dude. I look old as hell.
No, you gotta, it's because of the gray hair. It's the grays that do it. But you've got a young personality. So I don't think I'm not like, oh, look at this old begrudging.
Yeah. I'm also not very friendly. Like we're friendly because we're friends. But if somebody doesn't know me. In comedy, I try to be more friendly, but outside of comedy, I was just like not very approachable as a guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the approachable face.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, like this does not look approachable.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll be barking in the street for a free show or something. And I'll be like, I need someone with me. I cannot be barking alone because that looks bad for the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that, man. I get like, You know what? I don't know what it is about me that makes me like unapproachable. Because I feel like I'm a nice guy, a nice enough guy, but I think just on a service
Once
level,
you talk, I feel like once you talk, you're a nice guy.
Yeah, I think on the service level, like people would just assume I'm like a fucking hard ass or something like that. But
it's interesting. Like I was in San Francisco 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
For work, and I was like, let me do some comedy. San Francisco is a very weird place, man. Very weird place.
Yeah, I bet. I've never been to San Fran.
I forget about comedy for a second. The city is weird. The city is, first of all, so hilly. Why is anyone walking in San Francisco? It's so difficult to walk.
You got to take the trolley everywhere, right? You got to get
You better do something. Like, do something. Just don't walk. Yeah. I made the mistake the moment I arrived. And then I go there. I arrived at 3 o'clock in the hotel. I'm like, I want to eat next to Chinatown. Get a sandwich. Look at the phone. Everything closes at 4 o'clock.
Oh, really?
I was like, maybe they close and open again. They don't open it. They close at 4. Okay. Cool.
The streets probably get a little wild at night, I'm guessing.
It's insane at night. And then I was like, when did they open? They open at 11. So they work from 11 to 4.
Yeah.
I was like, no wonder the economy is getting messed up. San Francisco is not working.
Yeah.
San Francisco is closed. But the thing that pissed me off about San Francisco, I had my shoe untied and like a way longer lace than this. I'm walking in the street and I have my headphones in. Everybody is like pointing to me. It's like, yeah, thank you. Right? Then a homeless guy stops me. And he's like, I take my headphones out. He's like, oh, your shoe's untied. He's like, oh, thanks, man. Just kept walking. He was like, no. Tie your shoe.
It's going to go in shit.
I was like, I didn't say that to him, but in my head, I was like, dude, you're not wearing pants right now.
Yeah.
You have way bigger problems in life than my shoe being untied. Your pants is on the floor. Like, there is a pants, but it's on the floor right now. You're talking to me about my shoe, and you're not wearing anything. So what are we doing here? I was like, I walked away, but I was like, what is this place? Comics there are very nice, though. I met some comics. I did a show there. Nice people. Like, would love to be back. But it's such a weird... And, I was like, what's going to be really funny at my show tonight? I'm going to do a homeless people joke. Do not do a homeless people joke in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Do not do that.
Sensitive topic.
They're in denial. They don't think it exists.
Oh, really?
Like, I got on stage and I was doing some stuff and it's funny and they're on my side already. So I'm, not starting with it. And then I was like, you guys think you have a homeless problem? And I see everyone gone. Yeah. I lost an entire room in a sentence. And I said that immediately I was like, abort mission. We cannot do that joke. And I was like, because I think you don't. I think you have a great city.
Yeah.
I moved on. I moved on to the next joke so quick.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That's an insane place to be. It makes me appreciate Boston so much.
Yeah, Boston's one of the cleanest cities around.
But also, they're aware. They're like, we have this problem. We are kind of racist sometimes. Food is not good. We agree with you. Like, they know. They're not bullshitting anyone. Yeah. The seaport is crazy.
Boston doesn't have any time for bullshit. It really doesn't. It's like, to the point, like, just hammer it home.
Yeah, it's such a cool... I hate to say this, but I like Boston. And I hate that because when I moved here, I hated Boston.
Yeah.
So this is the worst place I've ever lived. I want to go back to Austin, Texas. That's where I came from.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious that I didn't do comedy in Austin. I did comedy in Boston.
Yeah, now Austin's like the hub.
The insanity. And I went to an open mic there, though, one time before I did comedy. I just went to watch. Oh, dude, if you think we're hardcore, they have no limits.
Oh, yeah.
Like here... I can't go on stage, say N-word, F-word, C-word. I can't do that. I went to an open mic where the guy opened with a statement with all the words. He had all of them laid out next to each other.
Do you think that's a product of there's a lot of comedy in Boston, a lot of open mics, like a lot of spots. But when you're in a hub now, like Austin, where there's a lot of spots, but there's also a lot of comics. Do you think there's that sort, I don't want to call it a syndrome, but where like you have to keep upping the ante to feel like you got to get yourself noticed? Like you can't just say something ridiculous. It's got to be like that next level.
So be like, whoa. I think so. I think so because, okay, the Boston scene is good. But if you look at the open mic part of it, it's it has some hits and misses.
Yeah.
But how many comics are in Boston overall, including open mic, or including shows, including everything?
Maybe like 150?
Maybe. But Austin, that's going to be way more than that.
Yeah.
Way more. So for you to break through, it's the same thing when we do in a dive bar in Amesbury, like Fortune Bar. That was one of the hardest places to get attention.
Yeah.
Even on stage.
Yeah.
Right? I appreciate that. Like that we did it. I'm so glad I did it. But like you have to say something so messed up that they leave the drink, they leave their phone, they leave the show on the TV that you also can see from stage, which is I was like, that's a great show. Actually, I would watch that. And they would leave everything and be like, what is he gonna say right now? To me, that was a Stephen Hawking jokes.
Yeah.
In these bars, I'd be like, and I throw the name, and they'll be like, whoop.
Yeah.
What messed up thing? And I usually say something funny but messed up, and that would be like, oh, we like that guy. He's not okay in the head.
Yeah.
And then I say some stuff, and they're on my side. But I think so. I agree with you. I think it's one of those. I need attention. Give me the attention. So I'm gonna lay out N-word, C-word, F-word, right after each other to open my set. Sure, do that, but again, the punch have to be funny.
Gotta be good.
Because if I turn my head from my phone or the TV show that I'm watching in Fortune Bar to hear you see this joke, and it's not funny, I'm turning back, and no matter what you say, I'm not gonna look back again.
Yeah.
So it's
nothing you can do.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble. You gotta have a funny one in the chamber. I have a funny controversial one. I was killing like with the controversial ones when the Stephen Hawking thing came out. Yeah. Because everybody had a take on it, and I had a very, I don't want to say different, but like it was, to me, I was like, oh, nobody said that part before. Yeah. And yeah, I was like, okay, I think now I have this in the chamber. If somebody, like not paying attention on the show, I'll be like, you guys, I love people who do things for the first time, like Obama, black president, first one. Armstrong, first guy on the moon. Stephen Hawking, first guy quadriplegic pedophile. I don't think anybody has done that before. Yeah, I think
that's a good joke.
And they're like, whoa. And I'd be like, do you think he wanted to be on the island? Or did someone just sneak up behind him and pushed him all the way? Because I don't think he really wanted that for himself. And then they're like, okay, he's messed up in the head. He's not okay. He's not okay. That guy is not okay. And yeah, and then I'd be like, oh, yeah, and then I do normal, like, vegan jokes after that.
Yeah. I've done Fortune Bar twice. I did a set. I did a 15-minute set, and I hosted a lot of times. The 15-minute set, I killed it because I got their attention by starting off talking about how shitty the bathroom was.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, like, clicked with everybody, and then I had everybody's attention.
Yeah.
When I hosted it, which is actually like recently, maybe like a few weeks ago or something like that. And it just, I was like, I'm not going to say the same toilet jokes. I don't know. I probably should have just said the same.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I should have done it again. But I started off just like how I would start off a set. And it went, that was probably my last like real bad bomb actually. Was at Fortune Bar hosting. And just the crowd wasn't into it. The TV's on. I had to ask in the middle. I was like, "Can you turn down the?"
Yeah.
So,
dude, when I did it, and again, all the love and respect to Max for putting my show and putting me on. Thank you so much. When I did it, me and the lineup, we performed. You know where Fortune Bar we perform?
Yeah.
During the Boston versus the Celtics and Pacers. Right in the semifinals of the playoffs, and everybody is like, it's on all the I am watching it as I'm on stage. So these people it doesn't matter how many things I'm doing. And then I started saying some messed up stuff, and it was messed up enough that they started to be like, what is he saying?
Yeah.
And then you get them, and it's funny, and it flows from there. And I was like, guys, this is probably one of the roughest things I've had to do. But we got through it. As long as you did your time. I really, not say don't respect, but I really don't like when people are booked to do 15 and the room is rough and 8 minutes. Yeah. And then they're like, especially if I'm hosting.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, what what are you doing right now? Like, just we all here. I don't know how PG this is. Sometimes we eat dick.
Yeah.
You gotta continue like eating that.
You just gotta cut it up and fucking swallow.
Put your time. just do your time. It doesn't matter. Just, I don't know. Look at the ceiling for 8 minutes. I don't care. Just don't leave.
Yeah.
That was an interesting. Yeah.
I know. That's actually what I hate when if I say I have like a 10-minute set, and usually if I have a 10-minute set, I know exactly what I'm going to say for that.
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute. Yeah. So if I'm doing 10 minutes, if I'm not out of there by like 9:50, like I have it down.
Yeah.
And I hate when I have something planned and I realize after the fact I forgot a joke or like a series of jokes, and I look back on my phone. I'm like, oh man, I'm at 8:57. Like, wow, like I just feel like I let the host down or the booker down.
No, I think the rule is like, I think 1.5 plus or minus your time is fine.
Yeah,
really. Well, especially once you get the light, you're good. Like you get the light at 9, so you can get off if you're doing 10. But I do this really weird thing where I have contingency plans in my set. So if I say the first suicide joke, they don't like it. Sometimes they don't fuck with it. I have a different like path of 2 more jokes. If I opener of suicide, 2 jokes if they like it, 2 jokes if they don't like it. Yeah. And then we go back to the rest of the set. So it's very...
It's like a choose your own adventure book.
It's very, very... In my head, I'll be like, okay, we did this. What's the next step? That's a fork. Did they vibe with it enough that I'm going to commit? Or I'm going to bail out and be like, wow, this room wants me to live.
Yeah.
And we go the living path. And that's, the mental games in comedy. People be like, oh my God, it's so easy. I hate when I'm doing a show or like a competition or a mic. And I see this white guy, it's always a white guy, who is coming with 25 of his friends because he lost a fantasy league.
Oh, yeah.
And his punishment is to do stand-up comedy for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So technically that white guy's punishment is my life dream.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to, he's getting punished by the thing I want to do full time. Which is insane.
Yeah.
Peter Lou and him and I think he brought that up. He was like, I love how my dream is a punishment for white people.
Yeah. And it sucks too when they have a good set.
They usually don't.
I saw one dude, fantasy football loser, get up there one time and crush. For 5, I think he only did probably like 3. He didn't do a full 5, but he clearly knew he was going to lose.
Yeah,
had
worked
material,
on it.
And he like had material about, because everybody in the league was there with him. There's like 10 other guys or 9 other guys, and he like roasted those guys.
But then that works. Yeah.
But it was good because it wasn't like how you say like niche or super. It was like specific, but it was something that like everybody could look at this dude and be like, "Oh yeah, he does fucking."
He looks like literally what I was gonna say. I was like, "What? He's into feet."
Yeah.
When did this become a thing? I feel the feet thing is new. Growing up, I've never
always been there.
Whoa, you want to tell me something about this?
I knew like everybody growing up. I felt like knew a foot guy. It's only I think been more acceptable now because of Pornhub.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you always had to watch out for the foot guy. That's why usually in schools you couldn't wear sandals.
What?
Always a foot guy creeping around. Yeah.
What?
You didn't know about feet guys?
We never had feet. No, there's no feet guys in Egypt.
What was in Egypt? What was the thing that like people be like, Maz, watch out for this guy. He's in chicken blood or whatever.
Nothing, dude. Like, because there's no sex. So nobody's expecting getting fucked.
It worse. I would think it would make it even more like pent up, like, man, like, look at this lady's fucking pinky finger. Like, I'm going to go fucking...
Oh, yeah. That's something like that. Like, this, it's a weird punishment in Egypt. So some schools are segregated, guys and girls. and some schools are
I went
mixed.
to an all boys high school, so I get it.
Yeah, and some schools are mixed, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, everybody, like, sometimes two people sit on the same desk, right? So it's a shared desk.
Yeah.
And the punishment for the boys was to make them sit next to a girl.
Oh, really?
That was a punishment, dude, growing up in middle school. That was like, ew, please, no, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
I'll do anything except sitting next to this very hot chick of the class because she will think I'm disgusting. So that was a punishment in Egypt. That was
Really?
Yeah, I think we're all gay secretly. We're all secretly gay.
Dude, that's a way better punishment than we used to get. We used to have to do the randomest punishment. So I went to a school, Malden Catholic, and they have this thing. I don't know if they still do it, but Tuesday nights was bingo night. So when I say bingo, like at least 1,000 people would come into the school at like night on Tuesday. Yeah. And like they fill up the cafeteria, the auditorium, the hallways.
That's
like
crazy.
It was a big moneymaker for them. So for not student loans, whatever you call it, like financial aid or whatever, to like get money taken off of tuition, I used to get, I would have to set up for bingo.
Yeah,
but you would get, my mother would work the bingo, and then I would get assigned, I think, 12 bingos school year.
Oh, okay.
So that we would just set up all the tables and chairs. But so for any given bingo setup, it was whoever was assigned that week. Also, anybody that got detention on Tuesday would get assigned a setup for bingo.
No.
So on Tuesdays, you had to be on your best behavior, or you were setting up bingo till like 6 o'clock at night.
What happens if you don't?
Like anything. It's like, you get in trouble, you get yelled at or whatever. When you're a fresh in high school, you're like, I don't want to get in trouble, So, but I mean, I would get detention quite often on Tuesdays, and there was nothing coincidental about it. Like, you would go and have to set up bingo.
It's like, it's not like, this Tuesday. No, it's every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday was bingo.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about this when we were in the cut about the punishments and how different they are. Because in Egypt, you get the shit beat out of you by teachers. Like, and I was telling you and Kaden that story. By the way, I think Kaden is really funny. I think Kaden is really one of the up and coming people. But there's a stick. Usually, each teacher has their own fetish of sticks. Like, it'll be like some are thin, some are thick. Like every guy.
You knew which stick to avoid.
Yeah, and it's like a weird science. It's like, the thin ones are way quicker, so they leave way stronger marks.
Yeah,
the bigger ones are thick, so it hits hard.
Yeah, scarier looking, but maybe not as bad of a aftermath.
It's which one's gonna leave a mark, and they were professionals at sticks. And they will beat you up for like not doing homework. And let's say the homework was 5 pages. You didn't do homework. Well, that's 10 sticks per page.
Yeah.
So the class is 45 minutes, and the first 15 minutes, people are getting beaten in the class. And like, we're starting class with beating, and we have 9 of those per day. So there's a lot of beating happening on the day. Dude, some people were insane. Like, they wouldn't stop at blood.
Yeah.
Like, there's some, like, they keep going. And it's so brutal that you walk into a class. So imagine this. You are not a student, but you Freddie, right now, walking into a class. There's kids and the teacher, and there's blood. And there's people getting beat up and next to the board, bleeding. And like it's not stopping anyone from, it was such a normal scene to be bleeding. And then the parents in Egypt have this mentality. I'm sending my son to school to get educated, but also to be a good person.
Yeah.
So this is not just a teacher. This is their second parent.
Yeah.
So they would go to the school and say, here's my son. And this is the literal translation of this expression. You break him and I will fix it. So break bones, do whatever you want. I'll fix it. That's their mentality, right? So the school is like, it was just, and it was crazy. I mean, I didn't go to school that much. I had other stuff to deal with. But when I go, I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I'm homeless so I don't go to school.
Yeah.
Like, at least I'm not getting beaten up every day. Yes. No.
And I consider myself somewhat of a expert on contingencies. Like, I don't beat kids or anything like that, but I understand what the function of a behavior is. And that's like what I deal with every day. Is like what motivates somebody, and everybody's motivations are different, and like what might maintain a behavior. So if you have somebody that's really motivated by attention, beating them's not going to stop them from doing whatever it is they're doing, because it's still a form of attention. So it actually, if you introduce corporal punishment to somebody that's looking for attention, that's actually going to increase the likelihood that they're going to do whatever it is they're doing to access that form of attention.
This is going to sound so bad about to say, but I mean it in a very different context. Does that contribute to them being a masochist in bed?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because I think I'll be like, if you as a child, you're getting beaten a lot. And
it can't be good for you.
Well, it can't be good for anyone, but like, it just makes me wonder, be like, is this to form into some weird fetish? You'd be like, dude, it's like, it's something that does something for me.
I mean, I think it's like anything. If you get exposed to it at a high level at an early age, it becomes probably acceptable in some aspects. And the more it's acceptable, maybe the more it feels comfortable, the more you're going to seek it out. So who knows? But
that's insane, dude.
Yeah.
That's again, children, it's such a sensitive being, and you know, like, you don't want to screw up. As a dad, as a parent, you'd be like, I don't want to screw up. I don't want to. One of the reasons I don't want to have children.
You don't want to screw them up.
I never met my dad, and I hate my dad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, really, that guy, when he dies, I'm like, yeah, let's party.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest reason is I never want to get a child for the off chance that my child feels towards me what I feel towards my dad. You know, people are like, but you didn't have a dad. You'll be a great father because you know what you missed. But dude, what if I'm not?
Yeah.
The risk to reward ratio is trash.
Yeah.
Trash. For what? I respect people like you who do it and do it good. But like, I am like, dude, why? Why I don't like kids to start with. What is the whole point of this?
Yeah. It's like, nobody can be forced to do something they don't want to do. So if like you're not into kids, or like you don't want, that sounds weird when I say it like that.
Definitely not.
Let's get this straight.
Let's go to the cameras. Look at camera 1 and camera 2 real quick.
Not into kids. If you get forced into a situation, you're not going to find it like pleasurable. Like my wife and I had, my wife's the one that had him, but like we wanted to have a kid. Yeah, we planned.
That's the plan.
Kid. Yeah, that was part of the plan.
That's the plan.
And not that it was always a part of my plan, but when my plan merged with finding somebody, and you have to sacrifice certain things, you have to figure out a way to make your life one plan. Kids was a part of it.
That's awesome that you guys are clear about that.
Yeah.
That you're like, hey, this is on my long-term plan. I love you. I want to share life with you. And as a result, this will come up at some point.
Yeah.
Dude, I know some people who will be like, I just don't like condoms. And I'm like, dude, the reasoning for that child is wild.
Yeah.
Does your child know this fact about you? The only reason they're here is because you just don't like latex?
Yeah. By the way, nobody likes those things. Girls don't either. But
big fan. Big latex guy here. Big into latex.
Big into lambskin.
Dude, I have so much anxiety from having kids. I have never had sex without a condom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
It's good practice.
What's on the other end. So I don't miss it because I've never had it without it. People be like, oh my God, just like, I don't know. I was like, dude, this thing that is 0.1 millimeter thick is what's between you feeling good and not feeling good. Really? The chance of STDs and like children, which is worse than STDs. Like chlamydia is one thing and a child is
curable.
a very different thing.
It's curable.
It's just such a crazy logic. Some people be like, oh, it's just like, I don't know, it feels different. I'm like, dude.
You know, once the kid is there, you have to be there. So it is. It's like, if you weren't planning on it before, you better start planning on it, because once that kid comes, if you don't step up and take care of it, like, yeah, you're a fucking asshole.
You're continuing the cycle.
Yeah.
You know, which is a lot of people be like, oh, I'm not here to break, I'm here to continue the cycle.
And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, now you have to get married and you have to be together with that person. That's what I mean. But like, you have to find out a way to at least be, if you're not with the, like, be civil and be a part of this kid's life. And my son's turning 2 the 24th, so in a couple weeks.
That was cool.
And from the time he was like, fresh out of the vagina to fresh baby till about 8 months, maybe a little before that, like 6, it's like pretty easy. Like they don't do a lot. Like you just got to make sure you don't drop them. They shit, but you know what? The shit doesn't smell. Because they're not eating real food yet. They're eating, either breast milk or formula. So the shit's really not bad. And it really isn't that bad at all until they start eating regular food.
Yeah, we just gave them a milk, I guess.
Once they're eating regular food, dude, the probably worst thing you could ever smell in your life is a 1.5-year-old kid that eat regular food. When we have this thing, it's a specific diaper barrel that, you wrap up the diaper when you change it, open the lid, throw it in
Fire
there.
The whole.
They're all in there. And then, at the end of the week, you throw out that one diaper bag. It is the most vile smelling thing.
Because they're also fermenting together inside.
Congealing.
Because what if...
Dude, it's bad. And there's a lot of, it's this, very tightly sealed thing.
Yeah.
It's like, but it doesn't matter, man. Like when the lid's shut, it's fine. But when you open it, like the two,
masks.
I have that diaper, right? I have it ready to go, and it's no more than this.
And then,
in just that little bit, it hits you, and you're
like dead bodies.
Dude, it's brutal. But when they're little, you just gotta feed them. You gotta, you little basic stuff. But after that, after 7 months, you start to realize this little guy or girl, whatever, is watching me. They're picking up on these little things.
Yeah.
And if you're not supporting them, you're going to fuck them up. And I feel so lucky that I have, my wife, and my wife I'm sure feels the same. I mean, everybody who's got their own things.
We hope.
So, I have so much more respect for single parents.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. It's so hard.
What is your either or? No dad or bad dad?
I don't know.
Simple answer, either or. Which one do you think which one do you think is less damaging?
I don't know. Probably bad dad is more damaging.
That's what I think.
If you're treating somebody like a piece of shit, it's one thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's I can't even. It's so hard. It's I can't imagine either.
And by the way, I'm not asking this for people to leave their children.
Yeah.
Because they think they're going to be bad, so they just leave. I'm just asking because I grew up without a father.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to this girl a few weeks ago, and she's like, I want to come to your podcast. I want to do a mental, a therapy session with you guys, we're horrible at it. We traumatize people. We're not healing people.
I'm picturing Jersey Goodwill Hunting.
No.
This is okay. I don't want to interrupt the story, but there's some good therapy scenes for some reason. I'm picturing.
Oh, dude, I'll need to look it up. We'll maybe get inspired by that.
Great movie.
And then she was like, "Oh, I'm really messed up. My dad, really bad guy, did these things to me." And I was like, "Oh, I think it's way worse than my dad because my dad was just never there.
Yeah.
The thing with my dad, he was never there, and I met him, and I grew up again very poor, and he is ultra rich.
Oh yeah,
ultra rich.
That's
right.
A different element added to it. Right.
That's crazy. It's like insult to injury at that point.
Yeah.
If he was poor, I'd be like, it wouldn't have changed a thing, right?
Yeah.
Or we'd be poor together. But then I met him, and I was like, dude. And he was such a shitty guy as a human being. I was like, I'm so glad I grew up without a father. Yeah. I'm so grew up homeless. Growing up homeless was way better than growing up with that man. Yeah. And I was so privileged. I was so grateful for my life to be at that point. But yeah, this girl conversation just got me into the thinking. I was like, dad, or no dad? I think no dad is better than
I'd probably go no dad. Like myself and my dad also, like we've had our ups and downs at times, but I am so lucky. And I think about this now a lot that I have a son, that I had a dad that no matter what, like, would be there.
Good guy.
No matter, yeah, he like really solid guy. Like, we don't have like an affectionate type relationship or anything like that. Like, we're not like if something's bothering me, I'm not like, hey, but like, if I ever needed something, he would be there for me.
It's really nice. What. It's one of those things I never experienced in life, and I imagine it's really nice. Is the belief that if I'm fucked up, something happened, I crashed my car, I'm in the hospital, I can call my dad or somebody, and I know they're there for me.
Yeah, that
must be something really nice in life. Like, I appreciate it a lot because I don't have it, right? And I look at it from the outsider perspective, like this must be the best thing. I know a lot of people. I work professionally, and some people be like, you know what? Everything goes downhill. I want to try this creative venture. I'm gonna quit my job, do this. Worst case scenario, I live with my parents for a bit. And I'm like, dude, that is such a luxury you just said right now, because normally it'll be like worst case scenario.
People's best case scenario.
Yeah, dude, the best parents, you have somewhere to go.
Hell yeah.
No, it's one of those things. I'd be like, wow, I love when I see people would be like, yeah, dude, my dad is a good guy. Yeah. I know he has my back in these situations, and that's I feel like what you should be, not you personally, but normally should be inspiring to be for your son. Yeah, you're cool enough that he's like, if I'm fucked up, I'll just call my dad. Yeah, that's an
dude.
Awesome,
that's the dream.
It's an awesome thing.
Just trying to have some sort of relation. It's like I want my son to love everything I love, and I want him to, be into the things I want to. But he's not gonna be probably in every aspect. So it's like I struggle now about like what do I really want to push on my son? Because you got to push kids to do something. They need to be occupied. So I'm going to naturally try to get him to do stuff I like to do. I train jiu-jitsu, and the kids classes at the academy I train at start at 3. So I'm like, I can't wait for another year to go by so I can get him started in that. He might do it and then he might hate it.
That's fine.
But it's you know what? I got him to do something. Try.
No, you had to do something. Dude, I say this all the time. What saved my life from the homelessness, not from it, but saved me from being a really terrible human being. Growing up, I played bowling.
Oh, nice.
Professionally.
Oh, hell yeah.
I played
10-pin?
Yeah. I played national team Egypt for 9 years.
Yeah.
So I was homeless in the morning and suffering to get food. But at night, if I dress up the nicest I could, and I would go to a place to practice with my team.
Yeah.
And it was it was such a weird dissociation that I was like, nothing happens in the morning matters because I'm going to bowling at night. And I think it's really important for kids to have something like that.
Yeah.
It's literally, I think it saved my life. I played World Cup. I played the highest level of competitions in bowling because of that experience. So it definitely, you need to push them, but you just have to, I don't know, shotgun it. They try everything, and what lands will land. Yeah. And even if nothing lands, it I don't know, it feels like it grows the spirit of camaraderie and hard work and satisfaction when you win, and how to deal with a loss. You don't
dealing with a loss.
You don't be a sore loser and get angry, and
Yeah.
Things
Did you have like a team captain or a coach that you sort of like looked up to when you were doing those things?
The thing is, I couldn't really share my life with them because in Egypt, being poor is sort of a shameful thing. It's not like here, if I'd be like, oh, dude, I'm poor, I don't have money. That's one thing. But in Egypt, you can't really say that. So I never, nobody knew my situation really. They just thought I dress horribly.
Yeah. You're like, I got my best.
And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I don't care. And I never shared my life. I never opened up to them. But it was really, really good people. I mean, some of them kind of guessed it and they were really there for me. But there's a lot of horrible people as well. And that's good because you deal with everything.
Yeah.
It gets you ready for the real world. And after that, I did some weird military/sport for a bit. That was really awesome. It's a weird program. Like think of ROTC.
Yeah.
But like on base. And you jump out of airplanes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That was my sort of ROTC.
Yeah. And they had like a bowling program through that?
No, at that point I stopped bowling.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, bowling. I played national team. It becomes a job.
Yeah.
Like after a point, as a child, this is a job. Like 5 to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. That's your job.
Yeah.
Right? And I was really grateful for it. But this program with the military was more like, it gets me grades to go to college. And I was so poor, there was no way for me to go to college.
Yeah, without that, yeah.
And even with it, to be honest, but I was just like, let me just do it. But yeah, that was also a great place to meet people, like, doing some dumb stuff together, like jumping out of airplanes in the desert of Egypt. That is one of the dumbest things you can do with your life.
I bet.
But it's pretty cool.
It made you who you are.
Pretty cool, dude. Pretty cool experience. You just jump out of airplane. It's great moment because the plane is it's like fans. Yeah. So it's really loud. You can't hear anything in the plane. And it's not like a nice plane on the inside, just the shell. Yeah. There's a rough.
It's like what you can cram people into.
Yeah, you're cramping 60 people in it, and it's like a C-130. It's like a fighter plane. Yeah. And everybody's shouting, the engine is loud, everything is so chaotic. The door opens, like an alarm, like a fire alarm rings, which means this is a drop zone. You need to get everyone right now because the plane goes so fast. You have 20 seconds to drop 20 people. Yeah. So there's no thinking. You just need to run to the door. Yeah. And if you don't run to the door, someone will lift you and put you out because you're damaging the last person in the line by not running to the door. And it's so chaotic. It's so the thing is ringing. Everybody's shouting. You run, you jump out of that door, and it's silent. It's like you died. There's no sound in the air. It's nothing. And it's the most peaceful thing I have ever experienced. You get a minute of that before you need to worry about the wind and where you're landing and all the parachute stuff. But you have a free fall for like 4 or 5 seconds because that's not it's not skydiving. That's it's called static line jumping. Yeah. So there's a line connected to the plane. When it opens your parachute. The line is long enough to give you 4 seconds of free fall or 3 seconds. And you'll be like, whoa, you look up, there's a parachute, so you're not dead. It's just a good start. Just a good start for the relaxing part. Yeah. And you look down and it's like a map. When you open Google Maps and you zoom out so much, there's only colors. That's what you see. You don't see any detail. You see colors. Yeah.
What was your elevation?
It was 1 kilometer, which is 3,000 feet. Yeah. Is that 3,000 feet?
I think it's 3.3.
Yeah, I think so. I hope we're not. I hope we're both educated enough to have guessed that correctly.
We're gonna cut it out and we're gonna just merge another voice saying the correct.
Yeah, just put it somewhere here. No, and it's like you have some time, and you'd be like, "Whoa!" It puts things in perspective outside. Yeah, you'd be like, "Wow, none of this really matters."
And so you were able to parlay that into funds to go to school in England.
No, so the plot twist after that is I got some, percentage off my tuition of that, but it's not like that's maybe like 10% off and I have no money to live. So my dad showed up in my life at that point and he was like, well, I've been looking for you and I want to help you. And when I say my dad helped me through college, my 4 years of college, they cost $20,000. Yeah. Total. So it's not like my dad paid $300,000 because you guys are nuts with what you're paying for your college here. So he helped me there, and I got some scholarships and made my way through. But that was the first time I've ever had a home stable where my mom is living and we're not facing day-to-day eviction or day-to-day getting arrested or day-to-day living with relatives. I lived with my aunt. Me and my mom lived with my aunt for 2 years.
Yeah,
which is horrible. Like for the aunt, like it's like we feel bad every day, and it's just a weird thing to grow up with. But yeah, dude, it was great. I if I can go back in time, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah,
because I ended up in this amazing studio right now.
You're in a great spot now. It's like you can't take away or discount what got you here, and all that struggle, all of that perseverance is what did it.
Funny. That was funny is coming from.
Now that's where the funny's from.
If I was like normal parent, funny would not be here. So that's when I got off and perform. I'd be like, performing in front of like 30 mostly white people. This is probably the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, this is probably one of the easiest things I will ever do in my life right now. Like, it's like it puts things in perspective. People be like, I'm so worried, dude. I'm sorry, I'm yapping a lot. No, I'm a big yapper. Yeah, big time yapper. I did the Mike and Laugh Boston, which you should do it sometimes. Like, really
that's good. Thursday nights, right?
Yeah.
Is it
some Thursday?
Did it still not sell out, but does it still get like full to capacity?
20 to 30 audience members who pay to see that show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the comics, does everybody get up on stage?
Yeah,
pretty much?
Yeah. You don't get, but it's a smaller set. It's like 3 minutes.
Okay, so that's better because when it first started, I was hearing that. You got like a lot of people weren't getting up.
First one, I think it was only the first one, just because they locked it at 15 or something like that, and everybody got 5 minutes. But now they're like locking it at shorter sets so more people can get on. And I saw this guy. The brown people, we have this weird thing. We see each other in the wild. Be like, oh, brown people. We can
when you own a Jeep, people like Jeep guys.
Yeah, the freaking weirdos.
Yeah.
I own a WRX, and the same thing with the WRX. People are like, oh, WRX. And he was like, oh, hey, I love your set. I was like, thanks, man. Have you done this before? He was like, no, it's my first time doing it. First time getting on stage on the it's not Laugh Boston stage. They do it in the hallway. Yeah, so technically, you're performing in the bathroom of Laugh Boston.
Yeah.
He was really tense. I was like, hey, dude, I just want to tell you something. And it's going to sound really bad, but I promise it's for your benefit. Whatever happens in the next 3 minutes does not affect your life in any way. If you go there, you crush it. They laugh so much, they start falling off their seats and they're crying and they're shitting themselves laughing. Nobody's going to book you based on that. That doesn't mean anything. This is nothing. And if you go there up there, which is most likely going to happen, you're going to bomb for the next 3 minutes and they're not going to laugh, guess what? They will never remember who you are. They will forget who you are the moment you get off that stage. It means nothing. And I wasn't saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, dude, just have fun. A little bit. Chill. Like, have a couple of these jokes. Go try them. See if you're funny. Have fun. Like, we're all like in the mentality of, like, I need to make it. I need to make it big. I want to get booked. I want to get a Laugh Boston, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But is that what you started? You started because you wanted to be on the Laugh Boston main stage? Because that's... I mean, I'm not shitting on people's dreams, but if that's all why you started, one day you're going to hit it and you're going to realize, okay, that was just a stage.
Yeah.
That was just a stage and these were just people. So it doesn't mean much. If you do it because you love it, you want to get better, you want to be funnier, you want to, I don't know, have bigger career aspirations, I believe that's very noble. That's very good. Like, I would support that 100 million %.
Yeah.
Like, I'm enjoying where I am, you know. Like, I'm in the hunt of the joke. I am looking for a good joke. The joke.
Random question, not to go back to it, but do you still bowl?
I haven't bowled in maybe like 4 years or so, 3 years. But I still have all my equipment. I have bowling balls, and I still have like...
What did you use... Because I'm not like high-level bowler, but I do enjoy bowling. I go bowling a lot.
Do you do leagues or something?
No, not a league. Just... To be honest, since we've had the kid, it's been a little harder to find time to do it. But my wife and I used to always bowl. What do you roll with? How many ounces?
Usually 15. 16. The heavier the better. Because these pins are very heavy, by the way.
I have some equipment. I have a ball and shit like that. I have 16, but I was thinking about trying to drop down to maybe 15, just because I feel like 16 is maybe I'm not getting exactly what I want out of it. I was thinking maybe a little bit lighter, but
yeah, I mean, like it's like the 15-pound ball. Like, also remember, I bowled 5 to 6 hours, 6 days a week. No, but if the 16-pounder, there's some very, very famous U.S. bowler called Tommy Jones, one of the best bowlers I've ever seen in my life. And he used to roll a lot with 16, but at that level, he started to hurt his back.
Yeah.
From that 1 pound. So when he dropped to 15, life was way better. And the reason you need to go heavier is these pins are so heavy. They fly. Yeah. But have you ever held a pin?
No, I don't. No, I don't think I have. Actually.
Oh, shit is like you can kill someone with that pin.
Oh yeah.
Like it's full wood. Yeah. It's so heavy, so you need as much weight and speed to disrupt them. But no, I'm mainly like a 15-pound. I started very young too. I started at 13-pound, 14-pound balls, and I lifted it up to 15. But bowling is all technique, right? It's like golf. Like it's one of those things where you just like the power and the speed are not coming from your arms or body, they're coming from your legs and the transition of motion. You start the motion and you drop your swing, and it should be a free floating motion. Yeah. And the more your water flowing, the more efficient the transfer of energy is to the lane. And you need to do a lot of math. There's a lot of oil patterns and where is the ball going to hook and how far is the oil length and so much math. Yeah. When you have your ball, is it drilled to your hand or is it a generic? Yeah. So you went to a pro shop and they took your... I used to do that. I did that for a while. Did the drillings? The hand thing. Yeah. Like it's crazy science.
Yeah. You know, I like similar, not... probably the same, but a little bit the same. I played football growing up, and that's really how I went to college. I got a football scholarship, awesome. So like it was that, like me putting in those hours football. But over the course of that, I have a lot of injuries. So I've broken both of my shoulders. I've torn my ACL and PCL in my knee. So I have a lot of injuries, and the injuries have been like adding up a little bit. And most recently, I've noticed that I've been getting a lot of like, I think, we would call it like tennis elbow almost, like that feeling. Like, I'm getting like a dead elbow feeling. I'm like, I think I need to go with a lighter ball. Something's just like not the same about my stroke anymore. 16.
Yeah. I mean, try it. Like, you probably will have better control over it. You work out?
I just train martial arts and go running. I don't really
martial arts are pretty cool. No, I mean, I lift a lot. Yeah. And sometimes we'll be doing a lift and I'll be doing, I don't know, close grip, pull down or something. And, I can go heavier, but that's against the point. Like, I need a weight where I'm comfortable controlling it. But that's the same thing with bowling. Bowling is such an accurate game. Like, you really need the ball to land in this much margin of wood to hit your target. Yeah. It looks easy, but when you have weird oil patterns, and I don't know if you spin the ball or you just...
I do. I have a, like, left English on, and I'll, like, hook it to the left.
That's, like, what everybody should be doing. But it depends on, like, how much rev do you have on the ball. And I used to go, this might be interesting to you, maybe not interesting to anyone else in the world, but there's this professional training center in Florida. It's called Kegel Training Center. They do also the machines that oil and highest levels in the world train in that center. And that center is literally, it's a lane, it's a bowling lane, multiple bowling lanes, but everything is fully tracked. From the moment you walk, cameras are analyzing your motion, pinpointing your joints, and showing you exactly what you're doing. You drop it in. Cameras and lasers on the lane, tracking the revs per minute, tracking the speed, tracking where it starts to hook, how the entry angle. So much data. Yeah. As a bowling geek, this is your life. This was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm very grateful for the Kegel people because I didn't pay for it. I was there for the interview. Like, just try it. Yeah. And you got so much info, and it's really, it's like golf again. It's a very big rabbit hole if you get into it. But to me, I started to hate bowling actually. Like, I did it so much. There was no joy for it anymore. Yeah. Like, you just be like, that's my job. Like, I go to my job. My job is to win. Yeah. And I really, you know what? Since you have kids and you want to get them into sports, I really hope you love them no matter if they win or not. Yeah. Because that's something to me that was not the case. I was conditionally loved if I won. And that made me very competitive because that was the only way for me to get loved by my mom.
To win, yeah.
Right? I didn't get it from her perspective. We were, again, very rough situation. And that was the only joy that we can get in life is if I win.
Yeah. Watching Maz get out there, right?
A lot of heavy weight. The happiness of this household is on me hitting this strike.
Yeah.
You know. And I hated bowling because of that. And I got to the point where I would throw my medals in the trash. Like, I wouldn't even take them home. By the way, my mom never saw me bowl.
Oh, yeah?
She saw me on TV. She never saw me real life.
In person, yeah.
You know, because...
Do you think she was like... didn't want to put that pressure on you in person?
I wish that was the answer, man. Like, I wish it was that. But I remember very, very young, we had a conversation. And she was like... I think that's her way of motivating me, but it came off really bad.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, if I come, you must win.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I wouldn't come and then you lose. And that was so much weight that I was like, you probably shouldn't come.
Yeah.
And she saw me in TV. They saw me when I was playing like big tournaments. But that was, you know, that was a weird way of motivating me in a way. But yeah, that's okay. I'm not blaming her on anything because she was in the shit with me.
Yeah.
She was not like chilling, having a good life.
Yeah, she wasn't out like sipping martinis, doing her thing. Like she's trying to
survive,
keep you guys afloat.
Yeah, she's trying to survive. You know? And again, no, like love my mom, cool lady, but the sport, that's on back to get it back. Definitely push your kid in all directions you can push. See what they love, see what they do, and a sport is more. I feel like it's less about winning, more about like the morals of sport, getting the friendships, the teams you make. These people stay with you forever. Yeah. So
I know. I still hang out. I hang out with the kids I went to preschool with. Like I go back like really far, but I'm like still really good buddies with all the guys I played ball with. You know, it's like it's hard to find that camaraderie. Yeah. Anywhere else, you know, it's like ingrained in.
It's like the military. Yeah. I feel like that's the same point of the military. You do something really, really intense together.
I mean, that's what like sports is. It's fake military. Like you're like football. You're like fake trying as a team, trying to like kill this other team essentially, or take their territory, take their land, invade them, you know?
Yeah, wow. Whoa.
That's what it is.
Choice of words is getting really intense on this podcast right now. So I can say that maybe. Yeah. It's like, I think someone...
Well, I'm the perfect person to say that. We do the invade all the time.
But that's what I'm saying. To make it lighter, I can say these words because we never did it before.
There's nothing obscure about you saying that, right?
Yesterday, we were talking with my friends and they were like, oh yeah, dude, the Air Force and planes, like freaking sucks. I hate flying. I was like, can't say that myself. What a privileged thing you're saying now, huh? Can't go to the airport and be like, oh, this plane is going to suck. Yeah. Because they're going to be like, what do you mean by that?
You're going to see someone pick up their clipboard like, all right, passenger number.
Oh, TSA is fun. It's fun for me.
Did you ever do TSA pre-check?
That's my life.
Yeah. Do TSA pre-check is the best.
Yeah, dude. I get so pissed because I have it sometimes. And you know, you have it, but that doesn't mean every flight you're going to be pre-checked. Yeah. And I get so pissed.
I know.
When I already have pre-check and the airline doesn't put me at pre-check. Yeah. I'm so mad about this.
Well, my wife and I recently took Vinny down to Virginia Beach to see my wife's brother was turning 30, so we did like a surprise 30th birthday party for him. And the pre-check line was longer than the regular check line.
But it moves.
So upset.
But it moves. Because they don't have to take your shoe, they don't have to take your belt, they have to take your laptop out. Yeah. So you just fucking... I know. Dude, I am horrible with airports. If my flight is at 7 a.m., which means the board's at 6:30, let's just maybe... So it's boarding at 6:15 maybe. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm group 4, which maybe at 6:30. I walk into the airport at 6:25.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like...
I'm the complete opposite.
3 hours.
I would be there at 3 a.m.
Dude,
just waiting.
I hate nothing more than sitting in airports doing nothing. What a waste. To me, it's such a waste of time. Yeah. And I'd be like, dude, what am I doing here? I walk in. I'm going to miss a flight very soon about that because I'm so lucky I haven't missed one yet. I literally just walk.
I get too anxious. I'm like, I have to be there. And I'm there at the very least an hour and a half before the
No,
flight.
for a
Even with
domestic,
for a domestic.
for a
yeah.
domestic flight,
Yeah.
dude. Like I treat these domestic flights like a car ride. Like they're gonna wait for me.
I'm like turned off from flying anywhere domestic. If it's on the East Coast now, I'm driving.
Oh, really?
I'm like sick. The airports have gotten, to me anyway, such a pain in the ass. Everything is so expensive, and it just.
But that's why you don't go too early. You don't spend any time in them.
I'm okay. Like I can raw dog it in the airport, just sit there, not buying it. But like, I don't know. It just aggravates me.
No, like a lot of people say that. I'd be like, guys, I've never experienced that because I walk through TSA to my flight. I never had to sit in an airport.
Yeah. I hate it. I would say, I mean, the longest flight I've ever taken, I went to India. I volunteered in India for, it was like a little over a month.
What is that, Peace Corps?
No, there was a school that needed
teachers,
like behavior stuff. So I went to this school, and I had to go to. We flew out of not LaGuardia. What's the other New York airport? JFK. And the zoo at JFK to get on this flight. Like Boston, like people tell me about, it is nothing compared to JFK.
It's very mild.
Yeah. JFK was a shit show. And I think that experience, like waiting to get on that flight, changed me for flights altogether.
More therapy content.
More therapy.
More trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about like just I have to be there early. I almost missed that flight, and I actually almost missed the flight back from India. The flight to India was a direct flight from New York. The flight from back, we had a layover in Germany, but the traffic in India is like nothing I've ever seen anywhere. It's insane. Like fucking crazy.
It's like Egypt, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure. Right? Yeah. And it like that might have been the most stressed out I've ever been in my life. Was we're in New Delhi, or actually we're just outside of New Delhi, like trying to get to the whatever New Delhi airport, and I'm like freaking out. That was maybe like if I didn't have gray hairs in my beard. At that time, I had actually probably some hair, but like I was so stressed out, and I remember sitting in this car. It was me, and it was one other lady in this car ride, and we were next to like a tin or like metal trash can, like some side of the road. There was like 10 dudes just standing around this fire in this trash can. It was like a tire going off, and we were there next to this trash can. For 35 minutes, just waiting for traffic to move. And I knew we hadn't moved because I'm next to this trash can for this amount of time. And I had like succumbed to the fact. I was like, all right.
Such a helpless situation. Because like, what are you going to do? Go run? Like nothing.
Yeah. Like I'm not getting, like, I don't know where I'm going. Yeah. This doesn't look like a place like I want to get out and start running around in.
Gabriel Iglesias have a very good joke about traffic in India.
Oh, does he?
Check it out.
Yeah, he's a funny dude too.
Oh, he's one of the best.
Yeah,
I think he's. I don't know if you ever analyze comics. Now I watch people. I'd be like, oh, he's doing that.
Yeah, I do for sure.
His voices. He has so many voices.
Yeah,
like vocal. Like he can do almost any sound he wants. He can do so many different characters because of his voice abilities. He can make a lady voice, he can make a big guy voice, small guy voice, a Mexican voice, American. He has so many voices. Very impressive.
Takes a crowd with him for every one of them too.
It's a ride. Yeah. It's a ride. And he's not like one story. He's just like does a story, 10-minute story, 5 minutes, and then takes to the next story. The voices, it's so impressive. Very, very, very cool guy. I heard he's also very nice in real life, so I haven't met him.
It always helps when you're like, oh, I heard this dude was a nice guy.
Yeah. I want to make sure, you need to go home to your family.
Yeah. Maz, dude, this has been a great dude.
We're
This is
going
the
crazy.
longest podcast I've ever done.
I was gonna
We're
say,
like at 2.5 hours.
We're gonna go crazy, huh?
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
The editors of this are gonna hate us, dude.
You know what? We do like we edit together the footage, so it's usually like if you're go like say like where you're talking about like bowling or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that camera will focus in on you, and then when we're talking together, big camera, and then me if I'm saying my story. But Joshua does a great job editing that all until like one final thing, and then I usually don't do much editing at all after he puts it all together. I just put it up on YouTube, and then I like to listen back to it, or if I'm like on the treadmill or doing whatever I'm doing on the way to a show or something, or if I have time to watch, I'll watch it, and then I try to make some notes and be like, okay, I want to make a 20-second clip out of that.
Yeah.
Put it on YouTube or something like that.
That's awesome, dude. That's the way to go. We do something very similar, but we basically shoot an hour and we take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Out of the hour or at least we take multiple 10. So each episode we have is 10 minutes, so people can be like, within drive to work.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna listen to it, get it out of the way. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's awesome. That's
cool. And this is actually my first show under this name. My old show's name was the Barn Burner Breakdown, but there was another show that I didn't know about it wasn't Barn Burner Breakdown, but they had a name Barn Burner or something. And I was
damn.
They'd been around longer than me. I was like, I just gotta change it up a little bit. So I switched studios, switched the name. So technically you're the first. I'm the first guest on the podcast, the first guest on the new the Little Dig podcast.
Well, guys, definitely follow it. Smash the like button.
Smash it.
I say this on my podcast. Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe. To be honest, just smash. Smash anyone or anything that you can. Hot neighbor. Smash anything. Yeah. Don't do that.
Maz, do you have any shows or if you want to plug any social media, your podcast, anything like that?
Oh my God, I would love to. Whoa, so many thoughts in my head. I'm doing Show Me Your Bits on the 16th of August. I'm doing a show in Connecticut with Damien Spranza on the 23rd, which is really, really
Where's that show?
It's in Hamden.
Okay.
I believe Hampton, Connecticut. Follow me on social media. So my social media handle is at I was Maz. That's TikTok, that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's Venmo, that's everything at I was Maz. And then also follow Mental Break _clips on Instagram and YouTube. So if you go to my Instagram, you'll find it. But if you Google Mental Break Clips or Mental Break Show, that's where me and Jonathan Anderson talk about mental health and do therapy sessions for guests. So we're starting to do the guest thing very soon. We're going to get a guest. Each of us has 2 questions. Very deep questions. Very deep. Very, very, very deep. Opening questions. And then we're going to see. And if they answer all 4 questions, there's a prize. We give them a prize. And so we incentivize it. But the questions are messed up.
Motivation.
So, yeah. So follow that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
this is so much fun, dude.
Coming on, brother. Much
appreciated.
Appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next episode.